So I realized that you sent me a text a little while ago that I thought I responded to, and it looked like I just kind of like shoved you off until like waiting for the show. But I actually was responding to you, and I want to say, like, it was one of these things. I still have not found it, but I know I responded to you. You said, "Oh yeah, this is what I thought about Fantastic Four." I'm like, "Yeah, this is what I thought about Fantastic Four." Whatever, and just sent it, and then like I look back, I'm like, it didn't send to you. What the fuck? And I'm just like, shit. Do you ever have a thing where you're really busy and you just like, you think you're, I thought, I know for a fact I wrote it and hit send. I haven't found who I sent it to yet or what app. So if someone's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just expecting like someone from like a job from like 3 years ago being like, yeah, Fantastic Four. Yeah, yes, I haven't seen it. I'm glad you liked it. Okay, I'm just expecting that, or just someone in like my work chat, or just like someone I haven't talked to in Twitter in like 5 years. Just like, who the fuck did I send that to? Because I know I was like handling my son, and I had him, and I just like typed it out and just sent. And now it's just, I know I wrote it down. I know I hit sent, but I don't know who. So someone's like, yeah, Dunigan out of nowhere just started talking to me about Fantastic Four. I think it might be a cry for help, Maybe life's not going so fantastic for him. Like, no, it's going good. It's going good. I just want to know who. It could be an old boss that hates me or some shit,
Well, at least you didn't just send a picture of like, the thing with his like cock hanging out, and you're like, wait a second, that didn't go to Spencer.
Which I've been known to do.
Who did that go to?
You're right. I've been known to go on like, Fur Affinity or DeviantArt and look up pictures of the thing with his cock out and just like, let's see what Spencer thinks, or let's see, I've been known to do that.
I'm assuming there was a joke involved there. Well, the funny that you bring that up is, I guess you would say Laura's sister's husband, Armando, which I think you met before at one of our barbecues and whatnot. One time he meant to send a joke picture of a dude with his cock out, like, and everything like that to like one of the other brothers, and one of the brothers' names is Rudy Jr., so he's called Junior. Well, Laura's dad's name is Rudy. He sent it to the dad instead, no context.
That already trumps my story. What can I do with that? Like, I've never sent like a dick pic to my father-in-law, so
So it just made for nobody brought it up either. It just was left there, like one of those ones, like.
Like, oh, sorry, my bad. By the way, Happy King's Day.
So there's that there, but no, I wasn't too worried when you didn't send it back, but I did kind of think about it. I was like, oh yeah, Ryan didn't respond, because sometimes with us nowadays, it's almost like if someone doesn't respond, like, I wonder what he thought of the movie then.
like I'm just like, curious. We'll see on the show, I guess, what I thought, won't we? Just all like, so you're that easily amused, are you? Well, I'm glad someone enjoyed it. It's like I'm like some snooty fucking prick coming in with like a glass of cognac, spit like swirling around or some shit.
You're like, well, It wasn't the 1994 Fantastic Four movie. Let me say that. Let me
tell you, unrespected gem.
Yeah.
No, Sue Storm and Reed Richards were 20 years apart in that. Like, oh well, that's a selling point. Oh, okay, sure, whatever. No, I've only seen that one once, and I didn't like it. I could understand. I could honestly say
we sit down and watch it together a long time ago. Wasn't that when we watched it?
We didn't watch that one together. I just watched it one time in like the depths of the internet somewhere, and I didn't like it. I kind of like appreciated how much they jammed in there for what it was. But at the exact same time, I like it more than any other Fantastic Four movie that came out until this one. But I mean, I appreciate aspects of it. But did I think it was a good movie? No, I didn't think it was a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones for it being 1994, for it being a low budget movie and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's easy to kind of like hate on that 1994 one, but I feel like for what they kind of had going, I actually am way more impressed than you would think. It's not the greatest or anything like that, but just for when you think of like how it's being put together and that, you're like, wow, and the characters actually look pretty decent in their costumes and everything like that. For the fact that, yeah, you're on a low budget, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, yeah.
For a Corman budget, I think they went all out and they made it look as good as they could for that. I mean, there's tropes in that. There are even tropes that were still in like movies like in 2010s, like Human Torch doesn't do any Human Torch shit till like the last 10 minutes of the movie or something like that. So, but that's neither here or there. I barely remember it. I just watched it like years ago and I was like, yeah, I didn't really like it, but it's better than the other. It was kind of like, I felt the way I felt about like that Thai Dragon Ball movie we watched. Like, I don't like it, but it's still worlds better than fucking Dragon Ball Evolution.
100%, yeah. You still give it credit for like, well, at least it hits a lot of the actual beats from the manga. Come on.
They actually like watched the show and read the manga. Someone who made the Corman one at least read the comics, and I'm assuming actually someone did the 20th Century Fox one. But the Josh Trank at the time, I was like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great. Then watching the Josh Trank one again, then hearing him in interviews, I'm like, nah, that one fucking sucked. We were being too generous. That one sucked ass. Yeah,
I think so. And they, like, just in thinking about that one's definitely my least favorite one. The two 20th Century Fox ones, like, I do kind of the first one of that, like, for the time period when that came out, because I did like that one in cinemas, and I watched it actually like only like a year and a half ago. I was kind of going through a Fantastic Four marathon anyways, and I watched that one and then The Rise of the Silver Surfer. And for what they are, they're decent enough. They're nothing like, they're not like top tier or anything like that, but they're like, decent middle of the road movies, and then I think with the first one, it's like, once again, that's at that time period where like, well, what do you have? You had Blade, X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. Like, like by like that point, it's not like there was a copious amount of other ones out there. I mean, Daredevil was right about that same time period and so on. So, it's not like, when some of those movies come out like in 2015 and you're like, there's been like 50 superhero movies. What's your fucking excuse?
I guess at the same time, I still think, because like you said, there was those movies just named off, which all those movies named off before Fantastic Four were good. And even before that, you had Donner's Superman 1 and 2 and Batman. Yeah, so, I mean... Girl. It's not... Yeah, sure. What's
Judge Dredd.
You can keep going, yeah.
Just The Shadow.
The Phantom.
Yeah.
Bulletproof Monk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one's based off a comic as well too.
Yeah. Don't ask me how that one popped in my head, but yeah. Well, that one, it was just a little like too like. I mean, part of me, sometimes I expect it to be there, but sometimes I expect it like too much in the way. Like, I guess it's one of those things. Like, granted, at the time I didn't know this, so I feel kind of like Luke Skywalker, like on the Millennium Falcon, judging Han Solo for not believing the Force after he's known about it for half a day. But at the same time, though, at the time, I didn't really know the impact the Fantastic Four had for the comic book industry. I just thought it was another comic book. I didn't realize it was technically the comic book to bring superheroes back, and it was the comic book to make Marvel big. Or like their first big success at least, and under the name Marvel. But it was, and I kind of like, before there were chances on the show before you could hear me being like, yeah, I never really cared to read Fantastic Four. Looking at some of the writers I like, I wouldn't mind picking up an omnibus of like, say, Mark Waid's run or Jonathan Hickman or something like that, and looking at what they did for Fantastic Four. Because before it just seemed like, just some, I don't give a shit, But now I'm like, because I didn't like, one guy stretches, the lady goes invisible, guy catches on fire, that's cool. Thing's cool too, but I mean, the Hulk's strong too, so who gives a shit, But I'm like, I could see there being more to it. I don't know. I could see there being more. So, and plus a lot of writers I like worked on them. Everyone says you got to check out their work. So I've kind of come around to them without even reading their book, but just like, I'm sure it's good.
A lot of those Fantastic Four ones, because in the last, I've always had like a weird, like, I've always really enjoyed the Fantastic Four in some weird way, and I've always wanted to kind of see more and so on. But like in like, I don't know, the last like 5 to 10 years, I've read through quite a bit of Fantastic Four graphic novels, everything from like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's original run to, some of those ones in like the 90s and early 2000s and so on like that. Just, random books that pop up on Comixology Unlimited and so on. And there is a lot of cool stuff in there and so on like that. And I think it is that one that I know Fantastic Four is that thing. It looks old timey. No matter what, it's always going to look like it's like, very proto superhero era. And I mean, technically it is. It's, 50s. It's early Marvel. It's kind of thing like that. But even if you read that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, like the original, like couple of issues and so on like that, it's still pretty darn like impressive and still holds up really well and everything like that. And all the elements are there, and the action's great and everything like that. But, it's the weird thing is for the fact that it is, you're in a sense, you're other than Captain America, proto superhero for the Marvel section, and just like that starts the run, then Spider-Man, then X-Men, and all that stuff comes after in the Avengers. But the fact that like it just took them so long to get it just totally dialed in, and trying to get it there. And I do think with this new movie, it's like they finally figured it like no, just do it like old school style. That's what it needs to be treated like, because that's what they are.
Well, without even going, before we jump into the actual movie proper, the thing I was going to say about other movie iterations that kind of bothered me, I guess, is because like I don't feel like people, because sometimes you just got to educate people on how big or important it is, and I don't think other movies went in with the attitude of, no, this is the comic that really brought superheroes back to popularity, when DC was not selling superheroes as well, but they're still just cranking them out because it's all they knew. This is the one that Marvel did, and they actually had a higher standard, and then DC followed too, and the back and forth of quality kind of jumped back and forth between the two. But like that, I think that like we've had like there's the two I forget the director's name, but the guy who did the one after the Corman one, the Michael Chick Douglas one in The Rise of Silver Surfer. And then we had Josh Trank being kind of like, I don't really like this. I want to make it different. I want to be edgy. I don't want to make just another movie for the masses, that kind of bullshit, And
let's have him sit in a room for like, 2 hours.
Yeah, that kind of bullshit.
And the budget's $100 million. You wonder where that went, didn't you?
Well, there's a lot of that was a combination of him and studio meddling, but it is what it is. I don't want to jump on too much shit for that. But like the thing with it is that this one feels like they're aware that this is a big deal. This is actually Marvel making it, but like, no, this is a big deal. This is like something that deserves respect. This is like, and why not? By this point, there's 4 other movies made. We could probably do one where we just speed run the origin. Let's just speed run the origin. Let's get that shit out of the way.
Yeah, no, and it's the same way that Superman, we can talk about that later, but like the fact that they just speed run the origin, be like, dude, you know what this fucking is. Like, we've had previous movies, and you all got Wikipedia. If worst case scenario, you need to catch up real quick,
The variant comics video explaining it or some shit.
Yeah, and it's not like it's one of the ones like, because, I'll say with some of the other Marvel movies that have come out in the past couple of years where like they go, what, you didn't watch that Disney show? Like that one's a little bit kind of weird to like just expect people to watch that. It's not like it's their basic origins or whatnot like that. It's like, okay, well now you put some new strange curve into here, and it's like one of those ones like, no, I did not watch that Disney show.
You didn't watch Echo? Yeah.
One of those ones like, how would you go get those fingers out and get yourself a Disney Plus account right now? Get that, whatever it is nowadays, $12.99. But no, it's like I just like that like they can kind of speed up just those core, origins, and then it's like even in the Fantastic Four, I like that's like they literally just have like the the talk show come on right there and whatnot, and this guy's like, here, let's just go the highlights real quick. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, you're all caught up, right? Good. Get the fucking movie rolling.
Well, before we go into actual spoilers, because we'll go to the spoilers for both this and Superman. Spoilers. I'm gonna guess we both liked it, right?
I liked Fantastic Four like a lot. Like I'm just gonna say it's right off the bat. Like when I was just done watching this one, I was like, shit, this is like probably one of the best Marvel movies / superhero movies that I've seen in a very long time. And I think my favorite part about it, for the fact, was just how serious that they took it, and especially for Marvel, is that they finally, it's like they figured out how to tone back the stupid comedy stuff. Like, it's like, I'm not saying there's not a couple jokes, because it is Fantastic Four. You're always going to have the Thing and Johnny like fucking with each other and so on like that. But it wasn't like slapsticky, which has been kind of my always biggest issue. I hate to sort of say it, like Marvel in like the last 15 years. Not every movie has it, but really Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of the start of really making that kind of happen. And then other movies like Thor 3 and 4 and some other ones ran with it a little too far. Where this one, I felt like, no, this was done like how I kind of want to see a superhero. It doesn't matter if it's Marvel or DC. I felt like it hit the tone so right the whole way through that that almost impressed me so much more than many other things. It's like I felt like, oh, it's like they actually got the comic book vibe right for once.
Well, it was also something I liked it a lot, and I think you may have liked it more than me. I will say this because I might need to watch it again. I really loved the first half, and then the last half I liked a lot, because I do feel like there's a gradual slowdown. Even if the beginning isn't filled with a bunch of action, there's just a lot of the world itself is interesting. There's a lot of like the emotion between the characters is there. There's a lot of things that I know from the comics, which I haven't read, but I know of it just from reading comics for as long as I have. And also, Mole Man's there, just like things like that. And we already fought him a few times and now we're cool. Just like that idea. Like if I was a Fantastic Four reader, I imagine it'd be cool seeing this movie and seeing like, okay, cool, we already lived in this world. And maybe it would have been cool to see them fight the Mole Man, but it's cool we're at this point where they're already established. They've been doing this. We don't have to go over the origin again. We can also just jump into Franklin Richards and whatnot. I can also say I kind of loved how, this is still something that's going to sell a lot of toys and figures, but I also loved how like mature it was. Like a lot of the like dialogue between Reed and Sue really felt like an actual married couple, like in the fights and all that. And also the stuff with, I don't mean to bring this up every time something parenting comes up, but like I kind of found like some real, like, as a new dad, I felt like some actual genuine, like, I kind of see that, or I kind of like with the parenting part of it, like it kind of hits you a little different when you see it. When you're a kid, like it was kind of funny, like, I'm going to jump ahead for a minute, just slightly. I'm not going to go into spoilers or details, but like in Superman, there's a little CG baby at some point. Ryan, 10 years ago, be like, I don't give a shit. I expect him to save the CG baby, but if they killed that CG baby, that gives me so much credit for just being so ballsy to do that.
If you just picked up and drop kicked it like a fucking football and it blew up in the air like fireworks, doesn't make any fucking sense, doesn't have to.
Like, you know what? I'm not saying I want that to happen, but if that happened, I would be like, I just gives me credit just for doing that. That's fucking ballsy, that's fucking cinema. Ryan today be like, fucking save the baby, please save the fucking baby, because even the facial structure and like the way they made that little alien CG baby look in Superman, it was like very realistic. So it just kind of, there's just that thing in your parent parent DNA just kicks in, like, when you see that.
See, I don't even remember the baby. That goes to show, like, that obviously seemed to not stand out to me at all. Oh, like, there's a fucking baby in Superman. I'm still racking my brain trying to remember what part that was.
Metamorphos baby. Metamorphos.
Oh yeah,
baby.
That baby. That's right. Yeah. Never mind. Take it back. Yeah. I know which scene you're talking about now.
Yeah. So,
exactly.
But yeah. So seeing this, where a lot of it's about becoming a new parent and learning that, like, that was effective too. And I don't think we need to go in from like the complete chronological order, but I think once they go and face off against Galactus and more or less get their asses kicked and come back, like, and they have to plan it out. From there, it gets a lot slower, and that makes sense for it to be slower because that's just, it becomes like a different movie by then. But I've been talking for a while, so I'll let you go.
Well, and I do know what you mean by like getting a little bit slower, because I will say that like it does. Like if there was something in this movie, it could probably use a fraction more action. It sounds kind of strange to say that, but it is a little bit on the limited side to action. I think it's just because I was so impressed with so much of the other things of how serious it was taken, all that kind of stuff, that it kind of outweighed that that aspect of it. But it is something there, like even like just having a couple more scenes where like they're maybe fighting Mole Man and all kinds of stuff, I think would just add to it. And I will say this about Mole Man is it feels like if this was any other movie, they would have made that Mole Man guy like a super fucking joke character, like, you know, and they don't. I mean, he says some kind of like some light comedy lines, but they don't make his character seem like he's the Mole Man. Look at him, he lives underground and plays with shit. You know, it's like, you know, no, they treat him seriously and so on, because it is one of those characters. If you don't really know who that is, you're like, who the fuck is that guy? You know, if you just didn't know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, Fantastic Four fight this guy. He lives underground. Yeah, in the Ultimates version, he did create a bunch of shit monsters that fought the Fantastic Four, and they thought that was a great way to start that book off. He's like, I'm filling up. He's like, I'm in the sewer here, and I'm creating my, you know, my old mud people. It's like, that ain't mud, Mole Man. Oh, it's mud. Yeah, it is. No, not in the sewer.
Is that a scene that happens, or like does he not know? He's like, well, I'm already this far, or is it kind of like we're gonna get so edgy and so fucked up? He knows it's shit. He's like playing with shit like it's Play-Doh. Like, what's going on with that?
Well, they never specifically say. It's just he's literally creating these Mudmen people, but he's literally pulling them out of the sewer. It's like they don't like specifically say that is, but you're like, dude, that's literally shit people that he's fighting the Fantastic Four with, and so on like that, and so on. I don't know. It's just it's a weird one. The Ultimate Fantastic Four book is still good, but it's like, I think that's such a weird way to start it off with. It's like, yeah, that's a peanut
sticking out of the side of its head or something.
Yeah, exactly. A syringe sticking out, you know, that was flushed. Interesting enough, I would say, like, if there was a Fantastic Four book that you would want to go read that actually kind of has a lot of the vibe that this movie has, there's one, I can't remember exactly what it's titled, but it's the same way that, like, there's that Spider-Man one where it goes through, like, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Mm-hmm. There's a Fantastic Four book that does the exact same thing, too. And I'm assuming there might be other ones out there, too. I've only found the Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four one, but that one's a good one, too, because it goes 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 2000s, and it hits all, like, you know, the core Fantastic Four beats throughout the decades. And it's almost like a perfect kind of like catch-up slash, like, gives you all these things. You're like, you see those core things, and they use a lot of that in the movie, which I think is kind of neat, is that the fact they pull a lot of the Fantastic Four era type stuff and throw it into this one, so you have a multitude of different things. It's not just like, here's Fantastic Four versus, you know, the Mole Man, or here's Fantastic Four versus Doctor Doom, and it's just, you know, one and, you know, two characters, or the heroes, the villain, that's it. Nobody else. This one here's a lot of things going on, and I think that's just kind of cool about it.
I'll have to check that one out. What I do know of Fantastic Four, their villains, Galactus, Silver Surfer, but I guess Silver Surfer eventually becomes good. Doctor Doom, of course, Mole Man, Super Skrull, and the Skrulls in general, I guess. Yeah. The Annihilist, and I think Doctor Doom, I forgot his name, but Doctor Doom has like a light guy in a cyborg bug suit or some shit that I remember from Ultimate Spider-Man that popped in, but maybe I'm mixing things up, or maybe he's another character, I don't know. But so I don't even know really much of their villains, in all honesty. But yeah. But like, I will say that I did appreciate that, like, oh, you guys didn't go Doctor Doom again. I mean, I know everyone's waiting for Doom, but like, I appreciate that they went with, we're going Galactus, which that seems big, but it also works in a way where he could come back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The fact they start off there. Well, even it's cool. Even you know, they got the small scenes, like they have the Fantastic Four. I think it's in like that when they're doing like the kind of like the TV show, like showing the highlights, and they're fighting like literally the monster thing off the first issue of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's one. They got that there. There's a handful of other like villains that they're fighting right off the bat, where it's like, okay, cool. At least they're kind of showing it.
Well, actually, here's something's interesting. Another villain that I didn't know about, but apparently the Gray Ghost, or the Red Ghost, Crimson Ghost, something like that, who had like an army of monkeys, which we saw him fighting one of those monkeys for a second.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's in there too.
There was going to be more with him because John Malkovich was cast as him and filmed, and he wasn't even in the movie. So I'm curious to know like what was cut from this movie, like a scene with John Malkovich as the Red Ghost or whatever.
Well, because I'll say two interesting things. This goes both with Superman and Fantastic Four. Is both these movies are only like 2 hours long, and yeah, I know that we've mentioned it throughout the last 5 years or so, like that. It's like so many of those movies have been like 2 hours and 20, 2 hours and 40. Even if they didn't really like, it's not like they were like an Avengers movie or something kind of epic. They would just be like, yeah, Ant-Man 3 is 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like, why? You know, or some of these, I'm not too sure. Some of these ones, even like Black Panther 2 was like 2 hours and like 25 minutes. It just, even though it was a good one, it still seemed like they're kind of like almost like making them long just to make them long in a sense, where I felt like both Superman and Fantastic Four, they're like, no, it's like 2 hours. We're getting right to the point. We're not going to, so we have it just a smooth ride.
The extra 9 minutes you see, that's the credits,
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's just that kind of stuff there, but still capturing in actually more. Both Superman and Fantastic Four captured him more than pretty much any other previous superhero movie would have done in 2 hours.
Who was your favorite Four member?
Ooh, that's a good question, because I think that actually all these guys were done really well. Like, one thing I thought was just off the bat was how well Johnny actually was kind of done. He has a lot going on in this movie and so on like that. I mean, probably I like Sue Storm quite a bit too, and of course the Thing I think is actually the best character of Fantastic Four. You can never go wrong with him. So the only thing I wish that I love the dude who actually plays the Thing in the two Fox ones. I think that guy was like almost like the perfect one. This guy here still is really good, but like if you kind of compare those two together, I'm like, man, I like that. That original guy was so good, but this guy still pulls it off pretty well too. And I like that he has like the old fashioned Thing look, where he's got the giant like brows and everything like that. Yeah. He kind of faded away as time went on. Yeah, everybody in here. I mean, even Mr. Fantastic and so on like that. They all have their moments. They all have their scenes. But actually, I was actually probably pretty impressed at how well they did with Johnny, to tell you the truth. Because, Johnny can just easily be like, yo, bro, I'm Johnny, what up? And then they don't necessarily just roll with that. They're like, oh, no, he's actually pretty sophisticated. He's not Mr. Fantastic intelligent, but he can still decipher a language and shit. Like, you got to give him credit where credit's due. He's not just fucking, pumping like fucking Red Bulls and, doing backflips on motorcycles.
Like going snowboarding, like, oh, I'm glad I'm fire. What about it? Let's fuck. You never see that girl again? So some Dante's Inferno shit may have happened with that. Not Dante's Inferno, Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Like right when he nuts or whatever. Like, whoops, whatever.
I got that Fantastic Four money. I got that Baxter building stuff. We covered it up.
I'm a celebrity. What are they going to do about it? I'm better than other people. Look at me. All right,
literally, what are they going to do about it? I'll light them on fucking fire.
All right, Johnny. All right. Jesus, I'm your PR guy. You don't got it every time. This is why we don't let you handle your own Twitter account.
See, Johnny becomes that's the guy you don't want to turn into a supervillain.
Yeah. No, I thought like he was pretty good, because it was also like, because he was the funny guy. He was no pun intended, but he was the hothead. But at the same time, he also was trying to show like he wanted something to do. Everybody is kind of like talking over him and talking around him, and he's like, guys, I got kind of an idea if you just want to hear me out. And he's not like, whatever, I'm gonna go drive my Charger and do a backflip off a fucking like cliff and parachute out or whatever. He's not like, he's like, no, there's more to him than that. And he doesn't slide against Chris Evans. That was just the way he was written. I think that this guy did a really good job. I mean, this movie is more of the Reed and Sue show, but at the same time, I think he did a fantastic job. My favorite is actually probably Ben Grimm, because I think granted, I know it's more of a choice, but it's a choice I liked, because people were talking about like, I heard some people who read Fantastic Four saying, the thing about the Ben is he's a guy with a heart of gold, but he's this big, boisterous, larger-than-life character. He's like, get over here, knucklehead, whatever, But I thought it was actually kind of I like the choice of like, here's this big, over-the-top rock man, and he's trying to play it subtle, like he's trying to go unnoticed, like he's trying not to stick out, and he's also at the same time has that old kind of like worker's attitude, but he's also trying to like make people happy. People in down Quincy Street see him, or Nancy Street see him, and he'll be like, I'll lift the truck up for the kids. Hey, how's it going? And then like the subtleties, like he likes cooking, the whole part with the garlic, like it's really good. I just want to add a little garlic to give it some zip. All right. And then like his like light irritation with Johnny, but it's never to the point of like, maybe there was a point where it was like, fuck you, but they're past that. Now they love each other, but there is a little bit of like, we're going to talk shit to each other though.
Well, it's just all in fun. They bust each other's balls, and that's like that's part of it. Yeah, but that's what I mean.
I like we got that point.
Yeah, we're past that point now. Now they're just like they're the two cool uncles that hang out, and everybody's having a good time. There's no animosity or anything like that. Like to the point where it's just like that fucking little bitch is here again. Damn it, Reed, get his ass out of here.
It's Glover time. Just like charges through the fucking Baxter building after him. The one time I'll fucking say it is when my fist is going through your fucking ass.
Yeah, there's none of that. I also like how this is funny because you mentioned the part where he picks up the car, and I like how they got the chick from American Pie that comes on by, and I literally thought about this just because I watched Blade 3 the other day. I'm like, even though she's not blind in this one, but that character is like the blind character, whatever, in the fucking comic books. I'm like, I love how like the only time she shows up in Marvel movies is she just plays blind characters. She plays the blind like love character of like the Thing, and then she plays the blind like hacker, which makes literally logically no sense in fucking Blade Trinity, but.
Natasha Lyonne or whatever her name is.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, which I always say for from American Pie, of course.
Yeah, no, I was thinking for a minute, like I was like when I heard she was going to be in it, and I know because I don't remember the character's name, and I heard she was going to be in it, and it was going to be more of a side character. I'm like, oh, I bet she's playing Thing's girlfriend. Like, she's not blind, so it must be a different character. I imagine he's had multiple girlfriends over the years, and maybe they'll make a tragedy thing where she gets blind or whatever. Who knows? But I think the whole thing with him having a blind girlfriend is the she's more open because this thing didn't seem like he was having trouble. I mean, maybe he felt a little isolated, but he didn't seem like he was having trouble being loved or being loved or wanted. It was more of just hit on more in his own head of just being kind of like, I just kind of want to go by unnoticed because I know how I look. But at the same time, like, I think that still works for the character.
No, I kind of liked it because it's like he accepted being the Thing. Because I was always kind of like something. I know it's like you get it, like that guy, because he can't transform like everybody else. He literally is always stuck there, and and that's fine and dandy. But I kind of like it when it's like, well, no, he just accepts it. Like, you know what, this is cool. I'm the Thing. Everybody likes me, so on like that. Well, like I'll just go with it. And that's how I kind of feel like he does in this movie. And I feel like they don't really need that. In a sense, she doesn't need to be blind because blind almost feels like, yeah, the only one who can fucking love you is somebody who can't see you. It feels like one of those things. So I felt like that's kind of why they put the blind thing out, because the Thing had like an original girlfriend before he was the Thing, and of course that lady's like, whoa, you're a fucking rock now, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. Nope, see ya. Maybe if you got those Johnny powers, maybe, or maybe if you got that fantastic dick, I don't know, but not the rock thing. Nope, not doing it.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
And then the Thing finds the blind girl who's like, "That's okay. I like you just the way you are."
Oh, she doesn't know better. That's perfect.
Yeah, she just thinks I got rock hard muscles. Just tell her that I'm Mr. Olympia. How the hell does she know?
Yeah. There could only ever be missionary with her on top. That's all cowgirl. That's all it could ever be. It could only ever be cowgirl.
Yeah.
That's all it could ever be.
Or I'd kill her. Just saying.
Not that I want to. It's just,
it's just,
gravity.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. She'd be being fucked by a tank.
Like 127 hours. Just a fucking boulder on you. I was gonna say the Thing. Well, no, not the Thing. I also thought they did a good job with Silver Surfer. I know this isn't the main Silver Surfer. I know because I know Shala Ball. I don't remember Silver Surfer's real name. I think Shala Ball was his girlfriend. I think I heard, and this is an alternate version where she became the Silver Surfer instead of him. So I think they did that so they can use the real Silver Surfer later on the lines, because we already said spoilers. Because I think when she sacrificed, they did that so we could have the Silver Surfer sacrifice himself and have proper Silver Surfer come in the MCU later and whatnot. And on top of that, I just kind of like, I knew where it was going with that character. I knew exactly how it was going to, not exactly how it was going to get there, but I knew how it was going to start. I knew how it was going to end. But I still enjoyed it. I still liked it. And I still thought they utilized that character better than the other Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, well, and I think the thing about using like the Silver Surfer's wife as the Silver Surfer, I think that actually kind of worked sort of. I'm not gonna say.
And it's happened in the comic at some point.
Yeah, but it worked really well for the story in this one because it gave Johnny a lot of stuff to kind of play off of. Is because he was the one that kind of had the interactions with her. He was the one who kind of like was slightly like, hey, there's a hot naked silver chick, you know what I mean? And it kind of worked in his way, but then he deciphers her language and goes through it and has more of that. So. If it was a man one, I feel like it wouldn't give. Well, obviously, Johnny wouldn't be like, yo, get out of here, dude. Like, there's some weird naked dude up there. Like, Reed, this is your thing you could deal with. So I feel like it's like, dude, somebody's testing out the fucking Terminator 2 special effects.
You're right. He wouldn't have as much to do. He'd just be waiting for something like, is there anyone that has any like fire-oriented things or like, like things that involve like a fire can do? Like, no, I'll just be back here, way back here, just chilling, That is true. Without Silver Surfer, he doesn't really have a whole lot going on in this movie because he doesn't even do the whole flame on thing that many times. But I mean, it still works for when he does, though,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also due to the fact that, there's not, once again, there's not tons of action in this one, but it still flows at a nice pace. I also like the fact that they also just get them going up into space on a space adventure right off the bat because both Fantastic Four and Green Lantern, I think, are both the two series that, like, they sort of thrive better sort of when they go on adventures. Like, that's, like, kind of like what makes them a little bit more interesting than if they're kind of just, like, hanging out the apartment buildings, or hanging out on Earth for Green Lantern, you know what I mean? Like, his stories are much better when he is, like, yeah, they're cruising the fucking galaxy, you know what I mean? Him and Kilowog, fucking on beat and so on like that, solving
listen
crime.
Space trucking.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like a heavy metal thing. And I like how this one, too, it's like, it's like Galactus is showing up, he gets the fucking warning and everything like that. And they're like, okay, let's jump in the old space taxi and we're going to get out of here. You taking that pregnant girl with you? Like, fuck it, let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? Like,
I do think, so earlier when I was saying when they get back after the whole Galactus thing, because I think when they get to Galactus' ship, that is awesome. And I even I was just looking at the machinery, and I don't have any Fantastic Four, but I do have some Jack Kirby and Mr. Miracle, whole omnibus of it. And all that like technology and just weird ass like contraptions are all around that whole ship. That looked like it was something right out of Mr. Miracle, when I assuming probably meant Fantastic Four, So I was just like, oh wow, they really did their fucking homework. They really got that look down. And then Galactus was even very intimidating, not just a fucking cloud. He was actually and had more going to him. He was more of like a force of nature than like a real big character, but I think that works for what he is. And earlier I was speaking on we can go back to the ship in a second, but I was just going to say this. Earlier I was speaking on how after they get back from a ship, it kind of slows down for a while. And even though I still really like the movie, that's kind of where it drops off a little bit for me. But I still kind of appreciate that to a certain extent because it goes from being like this movie with the potential for a lot of adventure and old-fashioned kind of 60s sci-fi type stuff. It then kind of becomes this other movie where it's more of like almost kind of more like there's other better examples, but something kind of like a Christopher Nolan movie, kind of like Oppenheimer or Interstellar even. Just not because of the space thing, but they're planning this out. They're trying to figure this out, and they're kind of like a lot of roundtable discussions and trying to figure out how can we do this. And a lot of it becomes this plan, or even kind of like Shin Godzilla to a certain extent. Just this thing where they're just preparing for this thing, and how are we really going to do it, and trying to bring everyone together in that process. Like I still enjoyed that. But like, I just thought that was just an interesting thing. And it kind of really reminded me of that song, 5 Years by David Bowie on Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, where it's a song about like a radio broadcast saying, sorry, folks, we have 5 years left to live. And everyone just trying to like prepare themselves for that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like what's going on there. Well, the interesting thing, I'm going to say this just goes to that comic book, but that comic book that goes through the Fantastic Four throughout the decades and everything like that, the whole overarching, story in that is that Galactus comes early on in it, like I think almost like once they're in like the 60s part, like maybe the second part. And it's like shit, and Reed Richards knows the whole time that Galactus is coming and so on like that, and he's just working frantically to try to figure out what to do. But they have actually a lot more time, like almost like 40 years or something to do it. But like that's almost, it kind of goes like, is that enough still? And of course Sue gets pissed at him. She's like, "Fuck you, Reed. You're fucking just working on this Galactus thing. I'm gonna go fucking bang Namor for a fucking decade. See you later." And he's like, "Sue, I'm trying to save the fucking universe here, you fucking bitch."
I'm sure words ripped right out of the comic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like he's got a fantastic dick. Yeah, it's pretty fucking fantastic. I tell you what, Reed. It's like there's just that argument going on. But yeah, so that's what Sue's doing in the 70s. She's fucking doing drugs and banging Namor, while fucking Mr. Fantastic, it's like, we have a baby that needs to be taken care of, and I have to, let me say it one more fucking time, save the fucking universe.
Dropping LSD while fucking the Little Merman. Yeah. So just becomes just a dirty fucking like water beatnik. Like, hey man, I know that Namor is all this like pride like shit, but the same like pride, not pride as in rainbows, but pride as in like warrior Aztec shit and all that, but like it's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, it seems, I don't know why.
I just say I pictured Namor wearing this, like, he's got this rainbow shirt on. He's like, "Why you got the shirt?" He's like, "Because I fuck like a rainbow." He's like, "Yo, I think that rainbow's a little bit different." It's like, "No, dude, the fucking rainbow's sweet. What, you don't like fucking rainbows and shit? Like, come on, dude. When I get out I like to lay there in my fucking Speedo and everything like that, fucking dick in the sky, fucking looking at that rainbow." And like, I think Namor's got a completely different vision of this.
Well, good for him. I mean, who's going to tell him he's wrong? He'd probably beat the fuck out of most people. Not most superheroes, but most people,
He's like, "What about that little thing you got like on your ankle? Like, what the fuck is that?" Like,
little wings.
Like, that's pretty fucking gay. It makes sense with that rainbow. Like, whoa, what? That's how I swim real fast. Fucking swim over there and kick your fucking ass.
I'll fly over to you.
Dude, I'm banging Sue fucking Storm. Who are you fucking banging?
The thing with Namor, I never understood. I mean, I never read it, but like that rivalry between like, I don't know, just kind of, I mean, because that's the thing with Sue Storm. She's able to bring people together, and this movie gets that across as she's like a speaker at the UN and whatnot. But like, I never understood. And also the thing with Mole Man, she's like the one member of the Fantastic Four who's able to talk to Mole Man. So I'm assuming it's something like that with Namor. But I've never understood. Like, I just don't think like polar opposites with Namor, Reed. I don't think that, just because like Reed is like super smart. I guess Namor in some iterations the comic is super smart, but the thing is Namor is, he's just like, I don't know, I know he came up before Aquaman, but he just always came across as like discount Aquaman to me. It's always just came across as, and
I think with Reed is the thing that Namor just stands in the corner of his arms crossed like, "Fucked your wife, what are you gonna do about it?" "Yeah, that's what I fucking thought." "Not so fantastic, are you?"
You know what is fantastic? That put, and he just starts beating the shit out of him.
I think it's just like such a weird like combo and stuff like that. Like, yeah, and Mr. Fantastic's like, "Yeah, I have to live with it. You did that. You fucking had that video and fucking played at all the cinemas, and you were real proud of it. You're like, that's the first porno to not be in just grindhouses."
I mean, for all we know, I mean, it's just,
it was called Sue Does Atlantis.
But I mean, he says she was there. He said he was there, but he was just like thrusting with like dick out like real hard, and he said she was invisible. So we just have to take his word on that. "Oh, she's coming really hard. Trust me, she's coming really hard."
Namor just really tried to get under fucking Reed's skin.
Like, Sue, tell me this isn't real. Like, Reed, he's just somehow he's just like hard and like thrusting in the camera, saying, "Oh, Sue," like. Come on, do you honestly believe, like, tell me it's not real? Tell me it's not real.
How am I supposed to know, Miss Invisible Woman?
You know,
so Namor.
I thought it was you. I thought it was me that could always see right through you, but it looks like it was you that could see right through me.
See, since we know that there's a Namor fucking in, the Marvel movies now, I'm wondering if that storyline's gonna come up at some point. Not the fucking porno one, but the fucking Sue fucking ditching Reed to bang Namor for,
Well, Namor in the movie is actually cool, so I'm like, all right.
No, that's actually one of the ones where I think the change of all the Namor stuff actually I thought worked out like way better.
It's just my thing is because Namor doesn't respect you unless you could beat him, and he's just like, well, everyone works with him at some point, so that means everyone had to kick his ass at some point, it seems. So it's just like he's always just such a fucking snooty little bitch. So I'm like, get fucked. But Black Panther too, I'm like, all right, he's pretty cool, So just keep that up.
But yeah. So Sue doesn't bang Namor in this movie, if that was what you were wondering.
No.
She doesn't. The one thing I will say is like when they do, because they go to Galactus and they go there, and then Galactus is like, yeah, okay, so like I got one thing. It's like, I always wish I had a boy of my own. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, being a big Galactus guy like this, there's just some things you can't have in life. It's just kind of sad. I always wish I could pitch the ball back and forth, take him to his first R-rated movie and so on like that. And fan was like, that's cool, yeah. So, well, you know what? There's an adoption. No, I don't want adoption center one. That's fucking weird. Like, I don't even know where it came from. Maybe it was a drug baby. Like, I don't want to go through that kind of stuff. How about that one you got right there? That looks fresh. It's not even born yet. Like, you know what I mean? How about you could just like, she could just give birth right here. I'll just catch it. You know what I mean? And we'll be on our merry way. and Mr. If that's like, no, that's the one. It's like, you can't have the baby. It's like, come on, man. You just fucking make another one. I can't make any of them. Don't you feel bad for fucking me? Don't you feel bad for me?
You feel bad for me? Just keep saying that. Well, you have the silver lady right here. Like, don't fucking look at me. Look how fucking big I am. Come on, let's be fucking realistic. Come on. Don't feel bad for me. Come on.
I can't have children. You're Mr. Fantastic. You could have probably 1,000 children. Shit, that thing guy over there, he understands.
I just like he doesn't have this ominous presence of just like, I am the destroyer of worlds. He's like, oh, come on, man, the fuck, he's still this giant, just like hulking, like knocks over one of like the big Jack Kirby machines behind him. Oh fuck, Silver, will you get that shit? Yeah, all right. She's like sighs. Like every time he gets exasperated, it's it's important not to like get him frustrated or exacerbate him too much, because then he speaks with his hands. He's a quarter Italian. It's gonna come out. He's gonna too long. He's gonna do a little bit of this, and then next he's gonna knock something over, and I have to fucking clean it up, So
it's just one of those where I feel like Galactus is just looking down, like, come on, man, it's just not even fucking born yet. It'll be like a fucking abortion, practically. You wouldn't even know the difference. You know what I mean? That doesn't have a fucking personality yet. It's like you're giving me a dozen eggs. You could do that, can't you? You don't got a problem eating eggs, do you?
He's like, he turns around, he's like, no. He turns around like, fuck, and like just shoves like something. Fuck.
I mean, they're like, oh fuck, he's angry. Get back in the spaceship. Let's get out of here. Get Franklin. Come on.
Well, the whole thing with that is actually because he wanted to pass on his ability to Franklin, because apparently like some kind of, I think in the comics, Franklin's actually a mutant or something like that.
No, because Franklin's like a super like because he's got like, because of Sue and Mr. Fantastic, he's got like both their powers and even more combined. Like, so he's like one of those ones where he's like on that, like almost like the Phoenix, where he's on like that ridiculous level of superpowered.
Oh, okay. I heard it was something kind of like he was a mutant, but maybe he's not a mutant. But like I know that he's supposed to be the successor to Galactus or something to that effect. He's like, hey, just come on, just give me, we'll just switch off. It's not a big deal, just some shit like that. Like I think it was something kind of like that. Like he wanted to devour the kid, so then he could have the kid reborn as Galactus or some shit like that, I believe.
Well, yeah, and because like I know in like some of the comics too, it's like what the thing is when they come to Earth, they want Mr. Fantastic instead to be the new Silver Surfer, and that's the whole thing. And Silver, he's like, I don't fucking want to be Silver, you know what I mean? They're like, well, would they have to devour the planet? Yeah, like fucking surfing. He's like, shit. I was in the '50s. I was like, that's the music I hated the most was that surf rock, that fucking beach party shit.
For me, it was some good old fashioned jazz, just like something to snap your finger to, bob your head to, no dancing.
Yeah, no shaking your ass on the fucking beach, and a monster comes out and so on. Like, I can't get it.
You see some like girl in a scantily clad bikini, the kind where like the waist comes all the way up to her ribs, and they're doing this shit, and you just like frow your brow, and they tell you like, what's the problem, man? And like, you're my goddamn problem, because you're the next generation and you're gonna cost us the war to the fucking Russians. Granted, my head comes all the way out of their car, and they were expecting that, so they're freaking the fuck out.
I don't know what those kids were on, but it was more than
not
just
America.
alcohol. Let me tell you that.
They weren't on America. They're not on that.
So it's like instead that like that's what it was, but I think it's kind of interesting. It probably happened at some point where like Galactus won like the boy, in like the comics. But I just remember from like the couple ones that I read that like he wanted Mr. Fantastic to be to take over as the Silver Surfer and so on. So the Silver Surfer could fucking retire and Galactus could have. He's like, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm having the same fucking conversation with this guy for the last 3,000 years. Like I need somebody new.
I can't have a kid, I'm just like, fuck, I know.
Yeah, see, this don't you get it's a problem, It's just what happens. When you become Galactus, just the sperm count goes down. It just happens.
You know what? Are you hungry? No, I'm not really hungry. I'm going to go find another planet to eat. Like, oh, I'm not hungry. You don't have to go just, yeah, okay, well, there he goes. All right, cool. I will just be waiting here in my big old Jack Kirby spaceship. Don't mind me. Just like starts tapping, like it's like the whole thing just shakes, another thing falls down. Oh, he'll clean that up when he gets back.
Yeah, exactly. Also, speaking of Jack Kirby, I will say I thought it was cool that they put a Jack Kirby and Stan Lee cameo in there. Of course, it's like
when they're working on the comic. Yeah,
I thought that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because it's like the fact that you always get the Stan Lee cameo, but it's like, oh, that's cool. Now you get a Jack Kirby one in there. I mean, I get
the spaceship also said Excelsior. It was called Excelsior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you get all that in there and whatnot. But I love, after Galactus wants the boy and he doesn't get the boy, so they decide to book it out of there and escape. And of course, Sue Storm has to give birth, as they're trying to escape. Like, Jesus, Sue, anytime, you could have stayed on Earth, damn it. Like, why'd you have to be the first pregnant woman into space? She's like, I wanted that fucking Guinness Book World Record. Fuck you.
First baby astronaut, yeah.
Yeah, I was collecting all this, It's like that one too. It's like, last time we went to space, we all got superpowers. What do you think's going to happen if we take a baby into space? Fuck it, we'll find out.
Yeah, the only way I wanted to find out, I did like how it almost did become like a big space chase for a minute, though. Like something out of going back to this, not my only example, but something like Interstellar, maybe even 2001 Space Odyssey, trying to escape the black hole and all that.
Yeah.
It was even a little Star Wars-y, but it was still fun, Spaceballs, yeah. Sure, why not? But that whole, when they get back and then it becomes this whole planning phase, there's not really a whole lot to talk about the movie there, but it is still really good. Like a lot of the dialogue's good, a lot of the planning's good, and they don't even really defeat Galactus. They just send him to another side of the universe to buy them some more time if he comes back. But which I will say that I'm glad that this movie, because for a minute I think a lot of people assumed that this movie was going to end with their world being destroyed and them coming to the main MCU world. And when that didn't happen, I was pleasantly surprised. But at the exact same time, actually, I like that more because this doesn't make it feel like, okay, it's just another piece to serve a bigger story. Like, I honestly feel like for the first time in a while, you could watch an MCU movie and not one. I mean, yeah, it's going to connect. It's going to go to something bigger. But you can watch this MCU movie and you don't need to see everything else that came before it. It doesn't leave you on such a cliffhanger. Like, well, I guess I got to wait 3 years or whatever, you know?
No, it's a total standalone movie. If this was the only MCU movie you ever saw, you would not be lost one bit. It goes from beginning to end. That's probably one of the best parts there. What I did want to say, though, is I like when they get back to Earth, and then I thought that was funny. Like, you think Mr. Fantastic's smart enough to know, be like, yo, how about you just don't let people...
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, why would you say that?
Yeah, he just fucking says he's like out there, and he's like, yeah, they wanted the boy. Apparently Galactus can't have kids, and yeah, he was just looking for the right one, and so on like that. And just like all people are saying, they're like, so you gave him the boy, right? Well, no, shit. Why would we do that? I felt like everybody else is like, you stupid fuck. like you can create another boy. Like, well, yeah, Galactus told me that. That doesn't mean that can happen. You know, it took us fucking 2 years to do this. It's like, yeah, it's probably that science shit, you know, made it hard, you know?
You know, with that stretchy dick, your sperm has to drive a long way. It probably gets tired at some point, you know? Because we know you like to fuck from the other side of the room because you're busy doing science shit. Like,
yeah, you're doing that fucking Dr. Manhattan shit.
But like,
but I just thought it's like they could have just not told everybody. Be like, yeah, what happened there? Like, yeah, well, you know, we're in the planning stages right now. We're talking it out to Galactus. Don't fucking worry. No, instead they just kind of go there like, yeah, he wants the kid. Wait, and Sue's like, yeah, fuck that shit. I ain't giving him the kid. Look, see, this the kid. This is my fucking kid. What are you gonna fucking do? We got power. We got fucking money. Look at the fucking Baxter buildings. Suck it. You know, it's just like Jesus. Be like, so you guys are gonna take care of us? No, get the fuck out of here. Get off our fucking property.
Da 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 na 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 da da da.
I mean, they even say they're like, so Mr. Fantastic, so what's gonna happen? He's like, I fucking don't know. Shit. Like he's like real fucking reassuring.
Yeah, no, that part was like, I understand you had to get to there because the whole thing of the world wants them to hand the kid over, but just the whole thing, like, so you handed the kid over, well, probably not, because no, the kid's right there. You can see the kid. We're holding the kid right there. So no, we didn't. So I was just kind of like, because I didn't think he would say it. I'm like, you're going to figure something out. But then and then maybe it's the information's going to go, oh, the smartest man in the world said that. Like, oh, sure. I guess the story's got to move along somehow. He's probably low on sleep. You know, we've all sometimes like, is that how you spell because? You have a little brain fart for a minute, you know? So it's like, you know, I guess I can kind of see it, you know, even for the smartest man in the world.
Exactly, you know?
Sometimes you look at a word like, is that the way this word was always spelled? Or am I just tripping right now? Fuck it, sure, yeah. You know, just a little leap in logic for a minute.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones, and you just see. I just picture all the other people being like, "That motherfucker! Like, we built him that goddamn Baxter building, and he can't give one fucking kid to save our entire planet. Selfish motherfucker."
Yeah, when other people have a brain, it just goes really bad for Reed. When other people have a brain fart, it's something stupid and banal, like I was just mentioning. When it's Reed, it's like, yeah, no, we could have saved the world, but we didn't. Why would you? Oh shit! I shouldn't have said that. Fuck.
Because I almost felt like, because that movie could have gone multiple ways at that point, because it could have been that one where it's like, you know, you think the people would be like, no, fucking tear this shit down, we are gonna kill all 4 of those Fantastic Four people, come hell or high water.
You know what, I bet I wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if there was other footage in another draft where John Malkovich's character, or maybe another villain, was trying to break into the Baxter building. He's like, well, you don't get to decide what's good for the world. We have to, the world, you know, so something kind of like that. Like, I can honestly see something like that happening in that movie. And then they're just like, it wasn't working with the emotional flow, or it seemed kind of sudden or something like that, you know?
Yeah, because that's true, because that does feel like that arc is kind of missing, where like there should have been somebody coming in being like, no, you don't get to fucking make the decision for all of us type thing. Because they really just have a bunch of like reporters kind of go, oh, well, that doesn't seem right. Oh, I guess that's all we can do. Like this, like, yeah, what the fuck are you gonna do? You don't got fucking superpowers. Fuck off. You know, like that's almost like how the Fantastic Four, they literally treat this like they are the fucking, like, yeah, we're gonna save the fucking planet, but you know what? We got the fucking power. You know what I mean? We're the fucking Joseph Stalin of this bitch.
You can suck.
No, you're fucking. Sue Storm's just like, no, you're fucking rule. I just like the idea that she's the one most attitude with it. Fucking, you know, Ben Grimm standing in the court. You got anything to say? Well, no. Sue's an angry lady. I keep my face out of it.
Sue just like looks like, suck all 4 of our dicks. Fuck you. But then, like, you know, when the whole thing about like when they're trying to like scheme on how to get Galactus there, and the plan is to like we don't know what it's going to take to beat him, so we're going to lure the kid there, just like oh, a tasty baby, just all alone in like in a clamshell like little carry-on. Oh, we just
some fucking Wile E. Coyote trap.
I was almost a little bit of kind of like him stopping, like almost like, because there was something that was stopping, of course, but just like kind of like the stop, look at the camera, blink, blink, like eyes blinking, like look back. Like, I was kind of expecting like the action on the side of the teleporter or some shit.
Well, when they did that, I thought it was gonna be a lot more sophisticated on how they were gonna do it. Like, I thought it was gonna be like, I'm like, okay, it's Mr. Fantastic. So what they're gonna do is, the second that Galactus gets there, they're gonna teleport Franklin really quickly, and then they'll, you know, go over there. It's like, oh no, they just have fucking Johnny fly by and pick him up. I'm like, the fuck, like that seems like that was the most Mr. Fantastic idea I've ever thought about. Like you know, it's like that was the best thing you came up with. And you know, the fucking whole world's like, dude, we spent all our resources and manpower. It's like, you could have just gave one fucking baby. People fucking died building this shit here. You know what I mean? We're putting this up where like we were putting fucking buildings up in the 1920s. You know what I mean? There's fucking no code. You know what I mean? There's no OSHA to protect anybody when we're doing this shit. But Mr. Fantastic's got to have his one baby. You know, it probably cost us 10,000 civilians. You
know what? As a parent, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I get it. You know, you get greedy. It's kind of like when you watch her play the first Last of Us. And, you know, and before I was a parent, I played, like, I get the mixed feelings you're supposed to get, but even then I was like pro Joel. And now I'm like, as a parent, like, oh, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, pro Joel, fuck the Fireflies, you know, kill all those motherfuckers, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, I haven't even actually played Last of Us 2. I want to. So, I mean, I've seen the show, but they haven't gone over Abby's story yet. So, but that whole, I know that makes it more gray and more all that kind of shit, and I'm sure it's still good. But what I mean is like the whole. I personally like I like the Abby character more than I like the other one. So I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah. I'm like that person where people go like, what? Like, I couldn't handle, like, it's fucking story. You never seen a fucking story before? Like, go fuck yourself. Like, I'm not really attached to these characters, and I hate to sort of say it. It's a fun game, but that's what it is. Yeah, but like at the same time, like, no, I was gonna say, like I kind of like get the thing. I think it's easy to like just hand the kid up until it's your kid. So it's like I get that, you know. So, but I think it's also with the fact that like when you are the only people on the planet that have superpowers for the most part, you're like, yeah, what the fuck are you gonna do? I think there's a little bit of that dictatorship, and I think also Mr. Fantastic is like, I can solve this. Like he's got that fucking ego going, like, you know. Well, I like that part when like he's talking to Sue, and this is like one of the most dramatic parts of the movies, and Sue is like, you've actually thought about handing him over. Like, I'm not going to hand him over. What I'm saying is, no, you've actually thought about handing our son over to the space god, you know, thing. And then he's just like, of course I thought about it. I think of every worst thing possible, so I know how to work around it, you know. So it's kind of like I think of every variability of every horrible thing that can happen, so I know how we can come up with a solution, you know. So the idea of like that Reed ego that has to come in, you know. Well, because Reed still has to use logic. He's not going to be like that, you know. Where Sue's kind of, she's woman, so she has more like emotion, you know. I mean, she'd be like, yeah, well, I fucked Namor. His kryptonite. Just ends it with that, like, what? Just fucking Mr. Red's like, what's the fucking point? Just starts throwing the stuff down. Fuck it.
bring Galactus in. I've got fucking nothing left. You know.
Wait, let me see. Does he have? He has like the kid has little fins.
Little fins
feet.
on his ankles. Fucking knew it, Sue. You fucking whore.
That's why you weren't giving him like a bottle and you're just giving him fish feed. It all makes sense now.
Be funny, Mr. Fantastic comes out like, so okay, the press is all there, stand there like, so you got a plan, you got an idea. He's like, fuck it, Galactus is coming. Fucking wife's a whore. You're like, what are we talking about? Like, fucking bang Namor. Who the fuck's Namor? Fucking fish god shit. Fucking, what's the fucking point? You know what? Fuck it. I don't know. You guys fucking figure it out. I'm out of here. Fucking, is that all he's saying is just fuck? Yeah, he's at that point. That fantastic brain is just giving out. Like, there's nothing left.
Comes out disheveled, like 5 o'clock shadow. He's just in like PJ bottoms and like a shirt that he's been wearing for the last 4 days. There's like coffee stains on it, you know, maybe some like ordered out tacos on it too. He's just like, yeah. So this is my press conference. Just him, no other members of the Fantastic Four there. Just like wait, so she fucked a fish man? Just some fucking fish asshole lives in like, has a fucking trident, lives under the sea, has like a fucking, is friends with a crab, and made a deal with some kind of sea witch lady. It's a fucking octopus, some bullshit like that, you know. Just like, what? Yeah, they sing songs all day. It's fucking stupid. That's who she fucked. Like, I think he's mixing things up. It's okay. I'm not going to correct him.
You know, Galactus said that if that's the case, he doesn't want the kid anymore either. He's like I thought I was getting, you know, the all powerful one. I didn't realize I was getting some fucking, you know, some bastard child, you know, just some half fish, half invisible woman. He's like, I'm just gonna eat your fucking planet.
Yeah, Galactus doesn't like fish. I'm not sure if I tell you, he doesn't like sushi. He's no. Picky that way.
Yeah, he's like I thought I was gonna have a son that I could play the ball with, not a son that I have to take the fucking, you know, swim lessons and shit. Like, I know, I've just, you know, what's he gonna be? You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Like, once the Olympics are done, that's it. He's got no future.
Yeah, I mean, even if he does, let's be honest, this kid's gonna be the next Michael Phelps. Come on, even then, what that? You're not gonna...
And let's be honest, most people don't remember Michael Phelps by this point. Do you fucking remember him? No, I mean, I know it's 1959 here, but just saying, you know, if that's the highlight of what my my new adopted son is going to be, it's like, I don't know if that's good enough. I'm Galactus all.
Anyway,
so no, but
prepare for destruction.
So yeah, Galactus comes and, you know, they have to resort to their one last fucking, you know. Oh, I like how Silver Surfer comes and just fucks everything up, just blows everything up for all these like plans and everything that all these people have been working on for years. Kills probably, I don't know how many people in the process. No one seems to notice.
I think he just destroys the tuning fork unless there's a lot of people. Everyone's standing under the tuning fork.
There's probably somebody standing under there. I mean, I know that they shoved a lot of people in the Mole Man world, but you know, how much space does Mole Man really have? You know what I mean? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He's like, I got the subterranean area. It's like, you know, with all my people. Oh, and of course, now you want to come downstairs and see what it's like, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me just push my people out of the way. Everybody who was all cool with living underground, you know, the hip thing.
Into the shit spas.
Yeah, come on. You know, my shit people here, you know, they like to keep it clean. I know it doesn't sound like they do, but, you know, they don't want you dragging your, you know, upper world dirt and other shit that, you know, you pick up off the ground, that gum that sticks to your feet while you're walking through New York City streets. You know, we like to keep it, you know, clean down here.
Believe it or not, yeah. No, that part, I actually got to see the movie again, but like, yeah, I took that she's destroyed the tuning fork thing, and we just got to hope that there's no one standing by the tuning forks that she was destroying them. But then there was the whole thing, like, yeah, we cleared up the city from all the collateral damage shit, you know, and then it just becomes about like, it's more than a battle. Even though they're like attacking him and shooting him with shit, it becomes more of just like a kind of like Godzilla, like a monster movie in that way. More than actual battle. Just so we gotta make sure this thing goes good.
Yeah, we just got to push him back into like the teleporter and everything like that. I know it's after Man of Steel. I feel every movie has to do that thing where like we have to really like explain to the audience because they're fucking retarded that like we got everybody out of the city and so on like that. Like so every movie has to do that thing where like you have to put that explainer in there. God forbid people use their mind to think about like where everybody went in the process or that Superman actually outthinks these things.
Well, to be fair, Man of Steel actually at the time when we first saw it, I thought that like for whatever reason I don't remember there being a lot of people standing around. I thought they were in like areas where this was avoided or that was avoided. But watching it again multiple times, he was just like chucking him through. It was a very populated area. And there you literally even that little like beam coming down, like pulling things up and slamming down that gravity beam. There are people up there going, "Oh God!" and going back down. So that movie, I mean, Superman throwing Zod into the side of a building was hardly the biggest like depth that movie did. That was like 9/11 times 10. So that whole battle. So I mean, I guess it's also at the same time like we can get to Superman in a second, but yeah. I think that did start the conversation. Like, well, let's at least explain they're not there, or at least make them save people, or something to that effect.
Well, which we all know that, like, okay, yeah, there'd be people that be like evacuated, but you'd be people be standing probably like, I ain't fucking leaving shit. I'm staying here till the bomb goes off. You're like, oh well, it's Galactus showing up, not the bomb. But you know, I don't give a fuck. This is my apartment. I pay my fucking rent. You get out of here. Like, you know that's probably like. I feel like they always want to say they're gonna clear everybody out. Yeah, fucking right. I feel like a good like. Guys. There's gonna be like a quarter of the people. It's a perfect example. It's like whenever there's like a fire or anything like that. There's always tons of people that stay, and it's like, give him credit. Like, you can go down with the ship, whatever. You know, it's, you know, his fucking choice. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. I think that's how it should be. You know, but I feel like that'd be the same thing in a city. You know, there'd be people like, it's just like, I ain't fucking leaving. Fuck you, Mr. Fantastic. Can't give your fucking baby up, huh? Fucking asshole.
That's their call. You know, that's my point. Like, oh, you did? Okay, cool, whatever. Well, we tried.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, no, but I guess from there, that's kind of what the Silver Surfer is like the last one to give the final push, to push him through the portal and save the day. And he'll probably come back in a few movies down the line or something, or who knows, maybe he'll come back in like one of the Avengers movies and he's there to devour Battle World or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I think that was kind of a good way. It's like they don't just like defeat Galactus and be like, oh, that's it. Never. It's like, oh no, they kind of just push him far away so that you can kind of forget about him for a while, and then he can pop back up, you know, as he's fucking slowly traveling across the galaxy again. They're like, that motherfucker, I'm getting that boy. You know, I don't care. I'll get the boy when he's 25 years old. You know, the boy's mine.
I just like to imagine this is a very distant shot of that giant ship just slowly going across space, like, stupid fucking asshole. I'm gonna kill the whole fucking planet, these motherfuckers. What the fuck can I do? What the fuck can I do? I can't have a fucking kid. I was fucking, just for a solid like 5 minutes, just like tell this ship from a great distance, just slowly drift across. Like, there's nothing even any interesting, like a planet or anything or a nebula behind it, just empty space.
The greedy bastard, Mr. Fantastic, he got everything. He fucking lives in the coolest building, fucking has, the banging wife, he's got the family, he's got the fucking power, he's got the brains, he's got one fucking kid, can't give them, gotta have fucking everything.
Can't give king, not for guys like me, like, oh, he's an incel. Okay, that's what's going on.
He's just pissed. He's like, I fucking just want a kid, that's it, dude, that's what I wanted. Fuck, I don't want a whole lot of things in life. Silver Surfer's like, yeah, except for like the eat plans. I'll get fucking hungry. You don't understand. I got the hunger. That's the thing I got.
If you're a big boy like me, you'd get hungry too.
Yeah, it's not my fault. It takes a lot of calories, to keep up this muscle mass.
This metal plating.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is once your muscles get so like so hard and thick, they turn metal. I'm actually naked right now. These are my fucking ears.
That's something you're going to probably be seeing at Disneyland. You'll probably be seeing like Galactus hats at Disneyland. The way you have like Goofy and Mickey Mouse hats.
Yeah, you got Galactus hat. You got the Destroyer of Worlds.
Yeah,
it's a fun time. It's a fun thing for a little kid to run around with. Asking for people's children.
Careful who you ask, so. Or just careful asking that question in general, actually, probably is a better statement.
You ever what happened to the Lindbergh baby? Well, Galactus needed him.
Or just like the idea of like, if only if it's Mr. Fantastic, someone who loved his kid, if too bad it wasn't somebody who's like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, shit, yeah. Franklin just grows up. He's like, "Fuck you, Dad. Like, I do what I want." They're like, "Son, we have good things planned for you." Yeah, I'm fucking doing that shit.
Like, yeah, no, yeah, that one was pretty good. I don't mean to cut it. I actually got to jump over to Superman just for time, but
yeah.
I guess last thoughts. I really liked this one. I don't know where it stands among my other Marvel movies. There's a lot of Marvel movies that came out a while ago that I like. But this is definitely one of the better films, one of like the best films post Endgame. I liked it more than like Thunderbolts. I liked it more than Deadpool and Wolverine. It's pretty high up there.
Yeah, that's how I kind of feel myself. I mean, I've only watched it once, but and yeah, maybe it's not like perfect, but it's made so well. I think it's actually really one of the most well-made superhero movies. Like, I think at the end of the day, it might not be like the personal favorite. I'll even say this. I'll say this. I think it's more well-made than Superman, but I probably like Superman more, and that's probably just because it's Superman. I hate to sort of say it, but like I think that's kind of how it is. But I think Fantastic Four was actually a better-made comic book movie than Superman was, in a sense. And I even feel that with like a lot of other things too. I just think that it was just very dialed in, even though like it could probably use a little bit more action and a couple other little things here and there. As I said, not saying it's totally perfect, but it just felt like finally, especially for Marvel. I think also because it's a Marvel one, so it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of, Marvel's been known for being kind of goofy and kind of like, trying to pander to like the lowbrow audience sometimes and stuff. And I felt like, oh shit, like they finally kind of gave you like, this is like, in a sense, like this is kind of like what it's like to read a Marvel comic book, and I think a lot of the movies don't know how to capture that perfectly, and this thing I felt like really kind of did. Like, yeah, this is it. This is the experience you get. This isn't the one that's kind of sold to be kind of like easy to sell to everybody. Let's put some comedy in it. Let's make it kind of like a little bit toned down and so on. This felt like, yeah, this is a Fantastic Four fucking comic right here.
Yeah, and I think that even leading into Superman, that one actually more so than Fantastic Four captured the vibe of reading a comic, just because it's coming in with all this already pre-established history. There's characters that are there that, like, you're not going to go back and read every first issue of whatever to figure out who this character is. So the movie just kind of carries on, and it kind of gives you a little prologue, little crawl at the beginning, which feels very kind of like set up when you're opening a comic book and there's like a prologue to like what happened in the previous graphic novel or the previous issue, kind of like see ellipses, see issue 675 or some shit like that. I think that of the two, and it's probably because the fact that he's one of my favorite characters is probably one of the main reasons, but I like Superman more than Fantastic Four. But like, I do think that I think the beginning of Fantastic Four is stronger than the beginning of Superman. Mm-hmm. Because Superman, so much is happening at the beginning, even though I appreciate it just jumping in. There's so much happening. I'm like, ooh, this thing's moving fast. There's a lot of shit going down, and we're just running. We're just like T-1000, just running straight forward, And then like once things kind of like took a minute to breathe, I think it started to kind of get its like probably like 20 minutes in, started to kind of get its footing a little better, and more of the emotion had a chance to show, but we still already had a lot of that awesome action,
Yeah, well, and I think that's the one thing is the action's extremely good in Superman. I think that kind of that definitely outweighs the Fantastic Four one a little bit. And I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. The only thing that kind of really brings down the Superman one slightly for me, and I think I should just, because it's James Gunn, it's kind of, I guess, bound to happen. But I think it's also DC just doing that thing, like make it the exact opposite of what those fucking Zack Snyder movies were. But the fact that there's just it's like they could just tone that comedy down a bit. It's like it's my same problem that I sort of have with so many, especially the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I feel like that's always been my biggest issue with those ones, is that they're good, but that comedy could be toned down just a little bit. And now this one's more like on par with Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which is probably the more dialed in of the Guardians of the Galaxy tone-wise, you know, but there is just some stuff. And it's not that the comedy's bad, it's just, it kind of takes you slightly out just for a moment, just like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, you know. And it's weird that the fact that the Fantastic Four movie, it's a Marvel movie, and you just don't expect that. It's like, oh, they're taking that shit really serious, and then Superman's still throwing in just these jokes here. It's not like they take away from, you know, the other stuff, but they're just there. They're just there, then, you know, you see it and so on. And I know that that's kind of James Gunn's thing, is that he likes the little comedy like things in the background. I mean, even just small things where, you know, Lex Luthor's like, turn the lights on. And of course you have a guy in a big old goofy suit flipping the light switch, you know, just in the back. It's just like, oh, okay. It's like one of those ones that's like, yeah, I see it there. And, you know, but I still really love the movie, but I just felt like that's the one elephant in the room. I felt like that was just there enough to be like, that's the only thing. That movie was just like one fraction away from being like really perfect. If you just turn that down just enough, you don't have to take it all out, just a little bit.
You see, the comedy didn't bother me because first off, I guess I knew to expect it because James Gunn. But two, the other that part of it was, if you look back on the Richard Donner movies, and definitely the ones that followed Donner, those are just about as comical. Even like the villains, like Lex Luthor and whatnot's comical. You know, you have like Richard Pryor and Superman 3 bumbling around, like accidentally hacking the world and, you know, creating a computer virus to defeat Superman, you know, as he like goes down skis on like a penthouse or whatever. You know, you had even in the comics, not every issue, not every comics, you know, you get your like something like Death of Superman or Red Sun, where there's room for very little comedy. But you get something like,
well, let's be honest, Superman. Death of Superman has some of the best comedy.
Actually, yeah, Mitchell. We can't forget Mitchell. We don't go into it. We mention it every time, so we won't go into it. Mitchell, the shitty 90s kid. But it wasn't meant to be funny. It was meant to be like, here's a mere 90s. And then like, oh, okay, we're still going to read it, you know. But like All-Star Superman, as emotional as that one is, that one actually... that one has a lot of this kind of comedy. I mean, when we jump over to like Lex Luthor, because this scene, I heard people complaining about this, like this seems like it's not anything that I know of, but this seems like something Grant Morrison would write. And when he says like, I have an army of monkeys constantly like writing hate mail and spreading propaganda about you online, and you see monkeys like just like freaking out just on a keyboard, just like hate writing shit, like in like yeah, that's silly, but that is some shit that would be in like the comics, especially depending on the writer. I definitely fucking see that. And you got characters like Mr. Mxyzptlk and Bizarro. So I'm kind of like, you know, the comedy was not out of place for me. There are movies that have a more of an emphasis on comedy. There are stories that have more of it, like a story like Birthright and Superman for All Seasons don't really have a big emphasis on comedy. But there are ones that it's peppered throughout a lot of it, and I kind of saw, and it didn't really surprise me because the emotion was still there and the action was still there. So maybe not every joke landed, but I think it did a pretty good job, you know?
Yeah. As I said, it's like, yeah, like of course I know that stuff's in other things here and there once in a,
that's not me trying to like Superman splain you, but you know.
But it is one of those ones, like, I mean, I think it's more like, well, one, I kind of just hope that James Gunn, it's like, because that's kind of his crutch, is that he always has to like kind of go for the comedy. So I always kind of wonder, can he direct without doing it that way? But I think it's probably less him and probably more like, I really think it's Warner Brothers being like, no, like you got to turn that ship around from what Zack Snyder did. Like, you know, we need to go a different direction there. So make it a little bit more lighthearted and so on like that, and make it, you know, or at least they put the comedy in there to break the ice to like the people that fucking hate comic book movies. Like, well, why are they even showing up anyways? Like, we don't know why, but they give us more money. Yeah. So I think there is a bit there, and at least the comedy's not bad like how in some, like, because Marvel movies are notorious for having just like real bad jokes, and even like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3 has a few of them in there too. Where they just really like at least none of them, they never generally break too much of the emotion. They're just sort of there. Like, I just feel like a lot of them like could probably, if they were taken out, it would just make the movie just that much better. Like you'd be like, it would just be that little bit extra, and it'd be like, okay, cool. As I said, it's not bad on like where it's like, oh, I'm not sitting there like fucking Thor 3 or something like that, but it was just enough to notice. But yeah, you know, it's kind of like even like Crypto. Like sometimes Crypto is almost a little bit like I like the fact Crypto's in there, but sometimes it's almost like he's almost like scene stealing a little too much. You're like, okay, you pump the brakes on that there, you know. It's it's something I have noticed is a lot of movies nowadays, they all have to have, I call it the BB-8 character. That's kind of what it is. Even in Fantastic Four, they literally have the little robot thing in their way. You got to have the little cute robot or
Kirby,
dog,
yeah.
or like fucking in Jurassic Park, they have the little girl that steals the fucking dinosaur from the island and shit, and you got to have the cute little character. So it's almost to the point where it's like, okay, we pump the brakes on the cute characters a little bit. Like, you know, I mean, I know you're trying to sell a fucking stuffed animal or something like that, you know, but because even Crypto, it's just like for a while, it's like almost like, I mean, I get they're trying to make him like an intense dog, but it's like, Jesus, this dog just, you know, I mean, give him a fucking tranquilizer or something like that. Like, what the hell is going on here? You know, it's like I know that where this is leading to eventually, but you know, it's just like, you know, can't he just be like man's best friend, Superman's best friend, you know, this wild fucking animal that Superman doesn't know how to properly raise?
Well, I appreciate that because it wasn't even his dog; it was his dog that he was watching. But at the same time, I appreciated the idea that like even Superman would look after an unruly dog that annoys him. But even then, even though we saw the dog was kind of a little asshole, the dog loved him, and I just kind of like the idea of like Crypto being like this unruly, poorly trained dog, but not because he's a little shit, but because he doesn't have the training, you know, and I think that actually really helped the movie. And he was in it a lot, but he wasn't like so much of like, here he is just doing silly shit for the sake of doing silly shit, you know. He actually is a pretty vital part of the story that kind of brings everything together. So it makes sense. And it looks like he's not going to be in the next one, you know, so, or won't be in it as much at least. But no, I think that's I thought that the Crypto thing was, because it is a hard character to like, I think it would be a hard character to do, right? And I think the idea of like, if you're gonna put in a character that fucking silly, might as well make him silly. I mean, I guess you could Zack Snyder him where he's like a giant like wolf or husky and he's always looking super stern and intense, but that's not really Crypto at the end of the day. So I mean, he could be a giant wolf or a husky, but I like the idea of him being the scrappy little fucker who just like, God damn it, you know, and then because, you know, I worked with dogs for a long time and there'd be those dogs like, this dog's a little fucking asshole. And then, you know, at the right moment, he'll come over, put his head on your lap, or like, oh,
get the fuck out of here. You don't fucking deserve that shit. Fucking big boot him out of there.
Spray him in the face of the bottle. Yeah. Like, okay. You know, but like, you know, but, no, there'll be those moments where like, you know, a dog that is kind of a pain in the ass kind of warms up to you. You're like, okay, all right. And then thus it can begin. You can start to like form a good friendship with this dog, you know? And I really liked Crypto. I thought he was a good part of the movie. I also liked the thing is like, because people are saying, is this movie overstuffed? Because there's a bunch of characters in here that aren't even Superman characters. And even though this movie had the Justice Gang with Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, and Metamorpho, they all felt like they were very, like, they didn't feel like they overstayed their welcome. They all had their parts. They all moved the movie forward, but they also weren't overtly like, it still felt like a Superman movie. It didn't feel like it was something jamming in all these other characters, you know?
No, yeah, I felt that way too. I felt that balanced it out. And I thought it was good that it had actually a multitude of other characters in there too. Plus it has Guy Gardner, which is my favorite Green Lantern anyways. And the fact that, what's his name, finally gets to play Green Lantern after all these years. And
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion, which I thought was just badass. And then really actually one of my favorite parts was Mr. Terrific. I thought that was actually one of the best parts of the whole movie, because one, that's just such a cool character anyways. I would have never thought they would have used that character in live action, because he's mostly, you know, even in like the cartoons, it's mostly like, okay, Mr. Terrific, you got the watchtower taken care of? Yes, I do. Okay, we're gonna go out on adventures. You know, you and you know, Martian Manhunter can keep this place together, you know. Take care of it while we're gone. Yeah, do the computer shit, you know. If something comes up, give us a call. If it's not that important though, don't fucking call.
What's also like, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so the fact they give him like a lot of stuff to do in this one, and the way that he's played, I like how the way that he's played is well, I gotta say this first. The aesthetic of the movie kind of has that thing where they did like what they do with Batman movies, where the Batman movies are always that weird look where it's like it's 1940s yet it's modern at the same time. Sometimes kind of confusing in that sense. Where this one did it, where it's like it's 1970s yet it's modern at the same time, you know. But then they made Mr. Terrific feel like he was a 1970s character and stuff like that. He was taking no shit from anybody and he was gonna get things done. I thought that was kind of badass.
Well, I liked Terrific was kind of like, as I heard people say, like early reviews, like he is like one of the funniest parts of the movie, and he's a scene stealer. I'm like, Mr. Terrific, because he's kind of always stoic and quiet. So how is he going to be the funniest guy in the movie? But he's just like this deadpan humor, and he's kind of like irritated with everybody because he's the smartest man in the world. In this movie, I think they confirm he's the smartest man in the world. He's not the third smartest. He's the smartest, which I think is more appropriate because, or at least the second smartest, because, you know, you have Lex Luthor. For a while in the comics, it was Lex Luthor, Batman, Mr. Terrific. But I'm like, Batman's really fucking smart, but he doesn't make like teleporting multiverses going in here. You know, he doesn't do that shit. He doesn't make. He could do a lot, but he's not, and he's smart in a different way. But he's not. Let's be honest. He's not creating like vortexes to other universes or some shit like that. So I think Mr. Terrific belongs as the smartest man in the world, and I'm glad this movie. I think they said that at some point. He also, I just like the idea that he is just irritated that no one is as smart as him. So when Lois is like talking about her relationship stuff, he just shoots her a look. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's just this thing keeps going. And he's just like, I do not care, you know?
Yeah,
and then like, small things of like, sorry, well, I'll make this quick. There's a small thing of like where he says, "You take my ship." And he's just like, "I've never flown a spaceship before. I made it. It's very easy and intuitive." Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I thought he was actually one of the best parts of the whole thing, and his comedy was like the few that worked. So that's like the kind where I felt like, yeah, like his kind of was fine there, you know, and so on. I liked
Guy Gardner making giant like middle fingers.
Exactly. I just like Guy Gardner. Because Guy Gardner makes sense too, because he's kind of the asshole character. He can be kind of the comic relief, you know. He's the guy. He's almost the guy. He's like, geez, out of everybody in the world, they picked that guy to get the fucking ring. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, fucking, they did pick me. You know, and I like how once again it's just like a lot of that stuff is just like, hey, he's got the ring. Like, we didn't need to have any backstory or anything like that. It's like you just fucking know. Like, this movie kind of comes in just like how a comic book does. But like when you pick a comic book up, it doesn't just start from the beginning unless it's like an origin story or something like that. It's like you're like, here we go. This is the story. Like, we already kind of know where we're at. Superman's in here for 3 years already doing his thing. You know, and we're just gonna roll with it. You know, and you know, another one I thought
stopped Israel from invading Palestine, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. That was kind of like what it was, just the fake countries that like couldn't handle their shit. You know, he's like, I'm gonna go fix that problem for them. You know, and you know, one thing the other one I'll say is I actually kind of like the way that Ma and Pa Kent were in this one. They made them actually feel a lot more kind of like
a lot more Midwest.
Yeah, like a lot more just like super, super blue collar, like, you know, and almost a little bit more hillbilly. But like I felt like it kind of worked in a way, you know, where it's just like, yeah, here they are. They're just like just good old people that just hanging out, you know, and doing the best they can. And I thought that was kind of a cool way to go about it. You know, it was different, but I thought it actually kind of worked better. You know, because a lot of times in a lot of them, they always, you know, Ma and Pa Kent kind of almost come across more like almost like Aunt May and Ben, you know, Parker, whatnot, where they feel a little bit more like, you know, like we could have been in the city. We have a fucking college degree, but we decided to live out here in the country, you know. Where this one just felt like, oh, yeah, this is what we've been doing. We're just hanging out here. You know, almost like to the point where, like, if you know, you could almost, like, have a slightly hard time understanding them because they had, like, such a thick accent and so on. I just thought that was kind of cool. I thought that, like,
want some moonshine? Just like a little bit out, just like maybe just a few counties over, they'd be a little bit more like that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like a good thing this was a dry county.
Yeah. You're on a church on Sunday, right, Clark?
Yeah. You know, one of those ones. You know, and so on. And then the other good thing is, I think this is one of the best parts about this Superman one is the fact that they got so many of the characters just to like look right. Like Lois looks like Lois from the comics. It's not like they're trying to change her up like they did. Like, even though like, because I know instantly there's a lot of hatred towards the Zack Snyder stuff all of a sudden. Like we're at that point now where people are like, oh, it's not fucking good. Like, you know, just the way that it was just like only a couple of years ago, people are like, is The Dark Knight really that good? You know, you start to get to that era, and now we're at that point where people are kind of like, fucking Man of Steel was fucking garbage. Let's be honest. And you know, there's things that, of course, yeah, Man of Steel, like, I really like Man of Steel for what it is. I know there's some things in there that are kind of goofy and changes and so on like that. I mean, even, for example, just Lois Lane being like, she doesn't look like Lois Lane, you know, or fucking Jimmy Olsen in the first two, like, being like, oh, it's Jenny Olsen, and, you know, she's not fucking Irish anymore, and so on like that. I like how this movie's like, fuck that shit. Like, there is fucking Lois Lane right there. Looks like fucking Lois Lane. There's Jimmy Olsen. You fucking know. He doesn't have to say a goddamn fucking word. You know that that's Jimmy Olsen right there. You know what I mean? And we're going to make Jimmy Olsen a fucking player. Because I remember, like, when I first watched that movie, it's like, there's like those girls looking over. I'm like, those girls fucking look at Jimmy Olsen and so on like that. And then, like, as the movie goes on, it's like, oh, yeah, Jimmy Olsen's a fucking, he's the Irish player.
He's laying pipe everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? People like that fucking little bow tie. He's got the fucking. It's probably they're probably banging. They're like, hey, can we meet Superman? They say you're Superman's best friend.
Superman's pal. Yeah, his.
You got that watch on? Can we give him a little ring-a-ding right now?
His ancestors were laying the railroad. He's laying the pipe. Yep. It's one of those things where I think that, like, I think Olsen was a good job. They did a good job with him. And also I think that because they pulled a lot from All-Star Superman, and in that he was kind of like some kind of like every lady. He was like a ladies' man, kind of like investigative reporter too. So I thought it was interesting they were pulling from that. Like what I saw for a lot from this was I saw like a lot of Grant Morrison, New 52 Superman, New 52 Action Comics by Grant Morrison, All-Star by Grant Morrison, a little bit of For All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and then of course Richard Donner Superman. Yeah, that's what those are the main things I saw in this picture, and maybe just a little bit of Birthright, maybe, but yeah. I think that the whole thing with, I think this movie had a good balance, because when it starts off, there's a lot of shit going on. You know, it's just like, okay, he got invaded, and basically the DC Universe's version of the Israel Palestinian conflict, and then that's gone back to bite him, and he's getting the questions of like, should you have, because I think if it was something like Zack Snyder, because I'll be 100% honest, like I'm not someone who hates Snyder, and I don't even think all those movies are bad. I like his movies, but I'm not like, I don't like them as much as I did when I first saw them, because thinking back, when I first saw Man of Steel, I loved it. And my mindset was, I'm just so glad it's not someone trying to ape Richard Donner, because it's been so long since we had a Superman movie, and the one we had before was Superman Returns, which is this movie wishing it was a Richard Donner movie, and came from someone who obviously never picked up a comic in his life and only liked Richard Donner Superman. That's all he gave a shit about. And even Smallville, even though they pulled stuff from comics, they were always reaching for Richard Donner. Even though this movie pulls from Richard Donner, it pulls from a lot of other things. So when Man of Steel came out, it was like, okay, cool, finally something. And I didn't even think Man of Steel was that dark or gritty, but now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I guess they didn't really capture Superman's essence. I was kind of like projecting what I assumed the Superman was about. But then Batman versus Superman came out, and that's like, oh no, that was me kind of giving his interpretation too much credit. He doesn't understand Superman. He made an enjoyable movie in Batman, Man of Steel and Justice League. He made his cut. He made an enjoyable movie. In Batman vs Superman, there's good things about it, but in hindsight, it's not really a good movie. I can enjoy parts of it. It's not a very good movie, and it's also. I still like that one for what it is. That, like,
you know, because that's the thing is like, everybody's kind of like hating on that one all of a sudden, and
they are hating on it when it came out, dude. It's been hating on it for like 15 years or 10 years.
That's true, but I feel like there's more now, like, you know, because even the people that did like it seem to like are kind of like turning on it. And
Yeah, I'm not lying. I kind of, but yeah, go ahead.
it's one of the ones I take it for kind of like what it is, the same way that I look at a lot of other like Batman movies and so on, like as they kind of go over the years. Like if you want perfect comic interpretation, like it's definitely like taking its own path and running with it. And that's the one like where if other movies were doing that Richard Donner thing and kind of aping that too much, that's where people are still kind of aping like The Dark Knight. Like it's almost like that was the only book they read, and that was kind of about it, and it was still following in that Christopher Nolan kind of vibe and everything like that there. As I say, I look at those as they're all stepping stones that hopefully get us farther forward sometimes,
Yeah, and the thing is, don't get me wrong, there are things about Batman versus Superman that I think are good. There definitely are. I think it's like a well-directed, it's a good-looking movie, and I think some of the action, like I think that movie still has the best Batman fight scene on camera. I do think it's messy and it's all over the place, and it doesn't answer certain questions it sets up. And I don't mean just the future shit. I mean, there's questions it sets up that it doesn't answer, like philosophical questions it doesn't answer. Like the whole thing of like, well, what should you do? Like, because there's the whole part where he's like, oh, I'm sad. I'm going to go like think about what my dad would tell me. Like, I remember one day when we were trying to like stop a farm from flooding. We stopped it, but then it flooded into our neighbor's farm and their cows died. And so did some of the family. Is what it is, I guess. It's like, cool, good talk. So what, don't do anything? Don't do anything. No matter what you do, someone's going to get fucked or someone's going to get... So what's the fucking point? What was this fucking conversation? Good job, Pa Ken. Oh, what about those kids on the bus? I should maybe let them fucking die. Really? Yeah, fuck them. I don't know about those. I didn't know those fucking kids. You know those fucking kids? Well, I know them. I go to school with them. Well, I don't fucking know them. We should have let them fucking die. So it's kind of like he was not good about understanding the essence of. And I was kind of at the time. I think I was trying to give it more credit than it really had. But looking back on it, and even hearing him talk about it in interviews, like he made Man of Steel. I still like it. But it doesn't really get Superman, but that's okay. It's still a good movie. It's still an enjoyable movie. This one, though, I feel like really does get Superman. And it's something that, like, it's not even like there's even choices that, like, I'm not saying a movie has to go live and die by what I say. It's not even my personal favorite interpretation of Lex Luthor, but I get what he was doing with Lex Luthor. And he was really enjoyable Lex Luthor.
Yeah, no. That guy who plays Lex Luthor, the guy I always think of him as Beast in the newer X-Men movies, but because that was one of those ones where it's like, okay, that's an interesting choice. They're kind of going with that kind of style Lex Luthor. It was better than Jesse Eisenberg. Lex Luthor was kind of a bizarre choice.
He was a good Riddler.
Yeah, that would have been a great one for that. But this Lex Luthor still felt like, okay, at least he still feels kind of like classic Lex Luthor. I still want to see the muscular Lex Luthor. I think that's the one. I like to see the one where Lex Luthor, he's like the pinnacle of man, like where he's both as strong as anyone can be, but he's also like literally his intelligence and stuff. And this one's still, kind of classic, your scientist Lex Luthor and so on like that. He's got henchmen. He's got all kinds of people around him and whatnot. And no, he does still do a really good job with it and so on like that, and does get the upper hand on Superman multiple times over, just trying to, kind of prove his point. And I think that does work out pretty darn well there. And then even the team he has with him, I think, is kind of a cool little alignment.
Yeah, well, I like that. The idea he has like a whole like tech team behind him that's basically controlling Ultraman, which I thought that was cool, especially at the point where he's memorized the point where he's just like Z45 A1, something kind of like that for his like attacks. So he's the one, like it's him verbally saying how to fight Superman in that way. Like I thought that was cool. He had this whole team around him. It was just interesting that way. Like you, I kind of prefer like Lex Luthor to be this characterization of like pinnacle of man as much as he can be. Like he's spitting out like equations to cure cancer while he's like deadlifting like 400 pounds. But I mean, so I guess that would be like Clancy Brown. I guess there's two versions of that. There's Clancy Brown from the animated series, and it's within the comics too. I'm just going to use more well-known ones. Clancy Brown from the animated series, and then All-Star Superman, which also has an animated movie where he's not like, because like Clancy Brown's version of him in the animated series comes across more as a guy who he can trick the world. You have a conversation with him, it's like, dude, what's Superman's problem with you? Like, I don't know. He can be kind of a dick, we both do good things though. I'm a big guy. He's a big guy. We both do a lot of shit, don't take it out on Superman, just, he can like make you like him. And then the second things go bad, like, what the fuck was that? And just like destroy your fucking life, destroy the world for whatever reason. That's the thing about Clancy Brown Lex Luthor. And then Grant Morrison Lex Luthor that also is in the All-Star Superman movie. That version of him, he's a lot more of like, he is like pinnacle of man, but rather than like, I gotta save face for the public, fuck the public. Public's not on my fucking level. Get fucked. I'm gonna destroy the world. I'm gonna take it over. I'm gonna make everything better. Just you fucking wait and see. I don't gotta wait for fucking shit. And he's like a mad scientist, but he's also like working out all the time. But I like that version.
Yeah, because that's what I always think of as kind of like my favorite variations. Both those ones there, the animated series and I love the one in All Star as well too. And I just think that's always the coolest part, because I just like to think of like Lex Luthor as the guy who like he literally is trying to be the best of the best no matter what in like every department. Nobody can like outbeat him. And I think that's what makes him such an interesting character. And this one here actually is a pretty good on-screen Lex Luthor. I definitely felt like he did a great job and everything. And like I said, as the cool team he had and everything. First, you kind of have his girlfriend there, and like, boy, they like took that girlfriend from like the Richard Donner one and really like made her even more like seem obnoxious and so on. I know it pans out story wise for what's going on there, but she was almost a little bit too like wacky. Like that was one of the ones that felt into like that weird slapstick area that what's his name? The director seems to always kind of have for characters, but I mean, not James so Gunn. Much that like, James Gunn, that it was like pulling the movie down too much, but just for that while, they're like, the fuck is going on with this? Like, Jesus, like pump the brakes on that character. Granted, it's what leads to Jimmy Olsen getting the inside scoop and so on like that. But I did feel like wow, they're like taking that character, because it's like that character that's in the '78 Superman one, but just like cranking her like way high as far as like how like weird she can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was over the top, and I thought that was interesting. Like, going back to what I was saying, earlier, I was a little tired of people always calling back to Richard Donner, and this calls back to Richard Donner a lot. But the thing is, there's so much other things it's calling back to, and it's expanding on things. It's not just saying, oh, I remember Richard Donner. Oh, I remember. Oh, I remember Marlon Brando. Oh, I remember Marlon Brando. Oh, it's not just doing that. It's moving things forward. So much so, like, it doesn't take, like, I'm not going to say this thing like for comic book movies, like in the like sense of accuracy, like it takes a couple of steps. I'm going to say it takes a couple of big jumps. Like the idea of like, we're skipping the origin, we're just jumping right into it, and here are characters from the comics. We're not going to take the time to explain who they are. They're not even from Superman, but they're from the DCU. We're just going to move forward with it, keep up. And that's what it's like reading comics. So and that's what I appreciate. And they still found a way to make it feel like a coherent movie. Like, I do think that maybe another version of this movie opens up Superman stopping a small minor crime on his way into the planet. You could have some version of the crawl, but then he gets in there, they see the fake Israel is about to attack fake Palestine, and then he shoots Lois a look. She's like, think about this, there's ramifications or whatever. He's like, I got a Superman about, and he just goes out there. He quickly dismantles it, comes back like, see, what's so wrong? That's when the hammer Baravia comes in and starts getting knocked out. It's called Baravia. He starts getting knocked around by that, and the movie picks up from there. I think there's another version like that, and then we see Luthor controlling the hammer Baravia. But like, maybe that was in some other script and it just didn't gel well, or there's too much going on. But I just feel like it kind of would have made it feel, because I just feel like it would have made it a little smoother at the beginning, something like that. But at the same time, I still love this movie,
Yeah, exactly. Well, and once it gets rolling and everything like that, it's like there's not like dull points or anything in here. Like the action's good. And once again, I think it's just that 2 hour time period. Both this and Fantastic Four, it's like they kind of figured it out. That's like, there's nothing wrong with having the epic long movie, but like kind of save that for Avengers or Justice League or something like that.
Yeah.
You probably don't need to have that on every single one. It's probably better just to have 2 hours, but have 2 hours be really dialed in.
And what I was saying, I was thinking all that shit I was just saying could have been like summed up like in 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was that'd be even real quick, just to get you there. Though I do almost kind of give it credit for the fact that like the movie just starts off. Yeah, and just Superman goes flying across the screen, blasting to the ground, and be like, "This is the first time he got his ass whooped," pretty much.
Got
it's just
fisted.
He just got raped.
Big
fucking
bold
pants
font.
missing and everything like that. Like, oh shit, was he really? Like, yeah, he really was.
Well, that's a cue out of like Snyder, because he used to like, people don't get it, man. My movies, if other movies, Batman goes to jail, he gets attacked, he fights these guys off. My movies, Batman goes to jail, he gets attacked, he might end up getting raped. So that's he really said that. So
Batman, if anybody's doing the raping, it's Batman.
let's get this straight.
We go into jail. We get in there. We get in that wrestling hustler thing. And we start going around and be like, "I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you."
We go.
It ain't weird when it's in jail. You know what I mean? You'll be best friends later. You'll be able to share a bunk together and be like, "That's right, boy. You know your place."
It starts off as Eastern Promises, but ends up like an episode of like, well, just name a sitcom. I don't know. Home Improvement. You don't see your neighbor's face, but you're always talking to him. You're leaning up the jail cell, can't see him.
And then there's that time right when I'm about ready to leave, I lean across him, rub the side of his ear, and I go, "I'll see you on the outside." I know where you sleep. You got to put that fear into crime. You know what I mean? That's the one thing they can't handle.
That's why I keep on telling Superman, but no, he's got to go be nice and all that.
Yeah, Wonder Woman understood. but yeah, no, like just the fact that Superman with all that kind of stuff, all the action you get there and so on like that. The Lois and Clark relationship, I think, is really dialed in this one here. They get that going good. And just I like how there's just all that, they have the cool little, from All-Star Superman, all the other kind of characters of the Daily Planet. They're all there. And they all pretty much look
Lombard is there. Eve Tessmacher. Not Eve Tessmacher. That's the girlfriend. Gossip lady.
Cat.
I forgot her name. Cat's there.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I don't know his name, but there's the black dude. I always see him in the background in like Daily Planet and comics. I know he's a character. I'm sure there's other things he's done, but there's like a black dude with glasses. It's there sometimes in the background. Like, oh yeah, he's there too.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of those little ones there. I just thought were pretty darn neat and so on. And then the fact, once again, you had like the sort of like the Justice Gang, with all them there. I do kind of wish though in the trailer, like they did show everything that like when I kind of thought about it. I wish they could have would have like hidden something like, oh, there's this character, you didn't expect to see this, but like they do kind of technically show, because I don't think there's anybody brand new that like you kind of like that was going to throw you off. You're like, oh, I didn't expect them to be in there. Maybe when they're in like the fucking whatever negative zone or what.
The prison,
yeah, the prison. Like if you look in the background, if you were able to like kind of like take an extra gander through there, you might see some other characters, but it goes by kind of fast. And it's kind of cool that they have that in there. It's like, oh yeah, Lex Luthor's already fucking got access to this. I mean,
I like how casual it is. Like just it's so dismissive and so short about it, And even like the thing with Metamorpho, like I kind of felt bad for, like, he was this guy in the situation he didn't want to be in, and the thing when he sees that falafel sells the falafel guy get shot, like that's the thing. He's like, holy fuck, like how silly the movie is. It was the guy playing like the stand-in for Netanyahu is so like over the top, like kind of like a 70s, like a silly 70s Richard Donner villain, really. Cheesy, more so than like say like Gene Hackman, a very over the top character. And then in that same scene you could have like Luthor shoot that innocent guy that sold Superman a falafel one time or gave him a falafel, and then like have that raw emotion hit like Metamorpho, like what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, and that was like the guy was just there. He just was, you know, he was just like, he like that right there. He's just like, if he's just gonna kill that guy, he's definitely gonna kill my kid at some point. I can't fucking do this shit, you know. I really liked that part, you know. And then even their escape, and like when they get in there and Lois Lane and Terrific come to save him, and they're looking, he's just like, is that a dog with a fucking cape? You know, he doesn't say fuck him, but he's like, is that a dog with a cape? You know, he's just like, sure, all right.
Well, I do actually give it credit when Lex Luthor shoots that dude in the head. I was like, oh, that was kind of ballsy. Like, I did not expect that to kind of happen. And I like Lex was like, oh, that ended really fast. Like, oh, I thought we were gonna have fun with this.
Yeah, he's like, I would have been
he played Russian roulette. He spun it twice, and like I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, that's a good ballsy scene right there. And for the fact that here's this guy that, you know, just one of Superman's many fans and whatnot like that. And it's just like, oh shit, it's like he took him out. You know what I mean? Like just the guy. Like I just like the example of that. Like a guy, like, you know, because you see that in life where there's those people. You're like, it's a real fucking nice guy. You know absolutely nothing about, but every single time I see that guy, he's got a fucking smile on his face. He's always saying hi and everything like that. And it's like, and then like when that, it's like almost if that guy died that you once again barely fucking knew, but you see him all the time, you'd be like, fuck, I always fucking
him?
That guy.
Really? Why?
Yeah. So I felt like that actually, there's like actually a really effective scene and just the way it was, and the fact that they could go there, I was like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? I think that was fucking ballsy. And, you know, even like I also like the fact that, like, you know, even when Lex Luthor breaks into fucking Fortress of Solitude and so on like that, like, and he just kind of gets in there like right off the bat, like, oh shit, he's already in there, like, you know what I mean? It's not like a lead up to this or anything. It's like, oh no, Lex fucking figured it out. He hacked his way in here and so on, you know, and he's gonna come in here and steal fucking Marlon Brando's fucking speech, you know. Which then it's like there's that thing where like he does take and he just like translates it and like, you know, he's like, oh yeah, Superman's, you know his dad said, you come here and, you know, do whatever you want, fuck whatever you want, it's your place, you know what I mean, like happy fucking birthday, son, you know. And they do that weird thing that where like everybody fucking believes this stuff, you know what I mean, like really, it's like, you know, you think you'd be like, hey, how about we ask Superman first, and like instead of just jumping the fucking gun, but
well, they confirm it's true.
I guess that is true. I feel like it's
because Terrific says I looked into it. I know of like 15 of the 20. I don't remember the exact number, but I know most of the translators looked into that and they don't lie. So they confirmed that. And there's been other versions before where Jor-El and Lara were like, conquer and fuck, you know. There's been versions before where they've been that they haven't always been Marlon Brando. They haven't always been the animated series. I think in the I gotta reread part of it, but I think somewhere in the John Burns or something, I forgot, the guy who did Man of Steel in the 80s. After Crisis, they were a little bit more dicks in that. Then of course in Smallville they were more like gray. Yeah.
You know, well, it's like I know that Mr. Terrific says that later on, but just like at first, people fucking turn on Superman like instantaneously, like that. Like, who's fucking alien? Like, he thinks he could just come here and fuck whatever he wants. Like,
well, I've seen how quickly public interpretation public perception changes in the media, so I can,
yeah, especially nowadays, it takes like one incident. It's just like, he fucking likes fucking pineapple on his pizza. Fuck that guy.
Hope he fucking dies. Yeah.
He's not one of us, you know. Yeah, people turn pretty fast, you know, and so on, you know.
But Hawaiian pizza is amazing. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
I know the world like, who fuck Hawaiian pizza? What, get fucked? It's amazing.
Yeah, whenever there was that, it was like, felt like it was a couple of years ago. There was like literally hate speech coming out for Hawaiian pizza. I was like, fuck those people. If you don't like fucking that topping on pizza, you can go fuck yourself. You know what? I like them all. I'll eat anything that fucking moves on a pizza. Don't you dare talk smack on pizza.
Hawaiian pizza with cashews. There.
I fucking love Hawaiian pizza with cashews.
Yeah, get fucked. Yeah. Not you. Whoever's all these non-Hawaiian, not all these like colonizing fucks who don't like, who just see Hawaii as a fucking hotel with a beach, not these people that appreciate the culture of Hawaii, where they gave us the Hawaiian pizza themselves. Yeah, King Kamehameha made the Hawaiian pizza. You don't fucking realize that, do you?
Yeah, he created a fucking spirit bomb and it fucking heated up the pizza. It cooked the pizza. There was a sun there, but that wasn't good enough.
Captain Cook tried to take it, but no, he beheaded that fucker and kicked him into a volcano so the rest of the world can enjoy the Hawaiian pizza.
You know what was the last words that Captain Cook said before that? He's like, hey, you should pull that pineapple off that pizza. That was fun. That was the last fucking
That was the thing that made him behead that fucker. And he deserved
they brought out the fucking Hawaiian pizza. He's like, it'd be a lot better if you pulled that pineapple off. Oh.
And he's like, you know what?
That was fighting words.
It's one thing for him to come here and assume we think he's a god and like fuck all our women. It's another thing to pull pineapple off our fucking pizza. You do not fucking do that. Superman.
Superman, exactly. Fucking birthright. Also, as I say, I like the guy that plays Superman a lot in this one too. I thought he had a Superman look. Yeah, I thought he had it dialed in. He had the right look of both Superman and Clark and everything there. And yes, I said, I feel like the characters in this, it was probably one of the most dialed in for the characters I could possibly imagine. Like everybody in there, I really can't even think of somebody be like, oh, that guy was just kind of okay, or he didn't really capture the. I felt like everybody got it.
What I liked about this movie is because I'm not trying to just beat up on Snyder, but something I think I like about this movie is it was about sincerity and about just being nice. And I think that's the thing is you can still tell a story with things are more morally gray and more complicated. I think you do that with Batman. Mm-hmm. Superman, I don't think you need to do that. And I kind of like how this movie starts off with, it presents the question of maybe you shouldn't have gone and got yourself involved in this conflict. And then at the end, no, you were right. This guy's a fucking evil piece of shit. And then the Justice Gang's like, yeah, he is. Watch this. Fuck you. And Hawk Girl just drops that fucker. Oh, we went there. Okay, cool.
Hawker's like, I don't give a fuck about killing.
Yeah, I'll kill all fucking day, And then the whole part where the part where there's the conversation where it's just what, I think this says a lot. This is a couple layered thing, and I have to go shortly after this, but Lois is you know what, I was really into punk rock and I just questioned everything and I got into journalism. And I can imagine a Lois Lane listening to Dead Kennedys and Rage Against the Machine, even though it's not really punk, but that's some kind of spirit, you know what I mean? And getting into some kind of indie journalism. I just imagine that story going on. And then Clark says, yeah, I like punk rock. And then he names off some bands and she's like, those are pop punk bands. And she's like, yeah, well, a lot of people like pop punk, it's fun. It's cool. People like it. He's kind of a little bit fuck you. It's kind of cool.
I feel like in my mind, he named off yeah, I fucking love Sum 41. That was what I heard when he said that, because they use fake band names, but I felt like that was pretty much the exact words I heard is yeah, I like punk. I like Sum 41.
He liked Sum 41. He liked the Mighty Boss Tones.
Blink 182.
Yeah, that's the shit he likes. And then
probably the Offspring, even though I like the Offspring a lot, but I feel like they're kind of they're kind of in a sense a gateway band into that too. They're kind of half.
Yeah, I like the Offspring and Sum 41. So yeah, I kind of So that's the bands he's referencing there. And then he's like maybe being nice is punk. I don't know. It just sounds a little silly, but then at the end of the movie, the band playing because he wants to. First off, it's kind of because for something his arc is he loves his parents, but he feels himself more as a Kryptonian, and then he realizes no. Kryptonian isn't what makes him. It was his family that raised him, that made him, and he has more of an appreciation and love for his family before. Because at the end, he's watching the reels of his life, of his family, and he's listening to that song. Now that song, it's by a band I never heard of called the Teddy Bears, but the one singing in the song is Iggy Pop. So what I like about that, because I think this is layered, and I haven't heard anybody mention this yet, and I'm sure someone else has. I'm not trying to take claim of this, but it's a very happy little bouncy punk pop song. But the thing is, it's being sang by Iggy Pop, who is one of the creators of punk rock. So that idea of saying it's okay to be like pop punk, and at the end of the day, you know, the guy who's saying maybe being nice is the new punk, kind of coming around. I just thought that was a nice little full circle it kind of made there, you know, bringing it all together like that. Like, I think that was a situation where the music really helped with that.
Well, and then that song was put together by fucking the I keep drawing the blank on the director's name. The director of the movie,
James Gunn.
James Gunn, because I saw it in the credits. So James Gunn he's in that band that did that kind of fake song with Iggy and all that stuff.
Well,
so
I think 15 years ago.
Oh, is it? I could have swore because I saw.
Maybe that version. Let me check.
Maybe that version was because in the credits, because I looked that up when it was going through.
Maybe that, yeah.
And it had his name was on there, like it was like a fake band kind of thing. I thought.
This song came out in 2000, but maybe he. Yeah. But maybe then again though, maybe he was in that band because he had a couple of projects. He was doing. James Gunn is. Yeah.
Because his name was on the credits, at least in the movie, for that song. So I just kind of assumed that made me think it was just made for the movie. But I guess maybe it's not.
Yeah, no,
So is that a real band that the poster on the wall is and everything?
Not the Crabtrees, the Crab, whatever. That's a made up band. But that band he's listening to at the end, that's a real band called the Teddy Bears.
Okay.
And they're still active today. They started in 91. I'm just saying I just liked because it's obviously, I'm not sure what the rest of their stuff sounds like, but that song sounds like a poppy punk song, like a pop punk song, but it has Iggy Pop singing. So it's like that legitimizes it. And that legitimizes Superman's point right there, you know, kind of like, yeah, if Iggy Pop's okay with it, I'm okay with it. It's real punk shit.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times at the end of the day, it's that kind of thing where people always want to like, if it's a good fucking song, it's a good fucking song. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's
but just the idea that it aids the point of the story in that way, though. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a kind of a good one there and so on. And it does kind of just get it going right. But no, I thought that was a good way that worked through and just like the connection between, you know, Superman and Lois and all that stuff through their different ways. But no, overall, I fucking loved that new Superman. I thought that like it was so dialed in. Same thing with the Fantastic Four. It really actually kind of gives me good hope for like this next kind of era of superhero movies that I think that both DC and Marvel are going to have a strong comeback, you know, because if in a sense the last 5 years, give or take, I mean, there's certain ones, but, you know, was a little bit on the lower end, the kind of weaker era, you know, just including a handful of movies. I think this right here is a good start to like, oh, they're finally, because both these movies represented like, oh, these feel like comic books for once. That's sort of like how they did, like where other movies felt like they have comic book elements in there and so on. And it's even like we mentioned Zack Snyder. Like this is what I'll kind of say about Zack Snyder. I think that if he follows somebody else's story, like Watchmen, because Watchmen, you know, I know it's got a couple little bit different things, but for the most part, it's from beginning to end, it's the same fucking comic book, just put in there. He does a good job. I think when he starts to get his own elements in there, that's what kind of throws us off. Like realistically, probably if he would have just done like Dark Knight Returns and followed it from beginning to end, he probably would have done a fine enough job with that, you know. But when he starts to add his own elements, it does. That's some of the stuff that kind of throws things off. And I know I hate to sort of say it, that's what a lot of directors like to do is they like to put their own spin on things. And it's like, no, how about you just fucking follow the page? It's like it's already there for you. All you gotta do is, you know, literally film what you see in these storyboards that are already set up, you know, the characters they already are defined and so on. And I felt like in both these movies they kind of did the thing where it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, they sum up, you know, a handful of stories into, you know, one movie, but the characters look like they're supposed to. The action feels like it does. You know, the world seemed designed, and both of them, you know, where the Fantastic Four had the cool 50s looking world, Superman had the cool like 70s. It had that weird like thing where it's like it's 70. It did the same thing that Gotham does, where it's like it has this old timey look, but for some reason people are still fucking using smartphones. I think it's always like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, well, that wasn't in Fantastic Four, was it? They didn't have smartphones or anything like that. No, they still had that. Superman. Superman, right? Yeah.
Superman had that because it's like it has that 70s. Everything looks like it's like 1970s. Like this, it sounds weird, but this movie almost looks like it could have been like a sequel. Like in a weird way, how Superman Returns is like kind of like a fake Superman 3 or an alternative Superman 3. This one almost feels like it, weirdly enough, could almost be like another alternative Superman 3. I mean, there's different things in it, but like it feels like it kind of carries in that, except for the fact that it carries, there's just those handful of elements that like, you know, say like, oh, they have smartphones, or there's, you know, posting on the internet and things like that, which I will give credit because Fantastic Four just feels like it's 50s, but it has that 50s feel of like that Jetsons almost 50s feel, where it's like it's a little bit more futuristic than your normal 50s, but it is still 1950s. But because Reed Richards is here, because Reed Richards and Sue Storm are standing up there like, you'll fucking buy what we sell you, you fucking peons.
That's every ad they do, every product they sell. That's them selling Lucky Charms.
And fucking Ben Grimm's like, whoa, Sue, you shut the fuck up thing. Slaps his fucking, oh.
Smacks him with like part of her like force field, like.
You know, but no, I think both these movies leading forward, I think this is actually going to be a good era coming up. I think that both of them show that both DC and Marvel, I think, are on the right track. Let's hope nobody decides to shift gears, but.
Yeah, no, I think they're both on the right track. And I of the two, I like them both a lot. Of the two, though, Superman is probably my favorite. And I hope that they keep on doing this. And I think Marvel's been actually doing pretty good Cap 4 was fun. It wasn't perfect, but it was fun. But other movies, not the shows, but other movies have been pretty good lately. You know, the Guardians 3, Thunderbolts was fun. So, you know, they're kind of like, it's not like in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not like it's been a slow, like, all right, let's get back there, you know?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the Marvel ones aren't like, I'm not saying that they're never like bad. They're just, you know.
But there was a drop in quality. Yeah,
there was just a kind of a drop and so on. And because even like, you know, just even comparing like the Thunderbolts, which I did enjoy, it's one of those ones, the comedy's a little bit too much there. I think Fantastic Four was just like, it fixed that, and it almost didn't feel like, it felt like that was almost made by not Marvel Studios anymore. It felt like that almost kind of came out of like another company, like was given like the reins and said, hey, give this a go. Like that's almost
probably
how
studio note, make it different. Not like
yeah, and I think that was kind of it. I mean, you could say the same thing about Superman as well too, except for since it had that James Gunn-ness, you know, it felt kind of, it reminded me a lot of Guardians 1. Like that was the best way I could kind of say the tone. The tone is very similar to Guardians 1. And I'm pretty sure that's what Warner Brothers said. You know, make it like that Guardian shit.
Yeah. you know, both.
Exact memo that slid across the room from Warner Brothers. Guardian shit.
You know, can you throw on the raccoon? No, I'll throw on a dog. All right, cool. But no, the dog. I still think there's enough of a difference there. But yeah, I actually got to get going here. But no, that was I liked them both a lot. So I'll go as far as say I loved Superman. I really liked Fantastic Four a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I like, as I say, probably because it's Superman, but beyond that, like, I thought they were both very high bar movies. But yeah, beyond all that good stuff, you can check out more Old Man Orange podcast at YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.